Salute everybody. This is another live stream. I got some special guests coming on. I want to say salute to everybody that supports my platform. Please, if you love the channel and you love the platform, please donate. $ Bulletz Gotti. Support the channel. That's all we ask. For anybody that has a problem with what I say on my platform, please do not be offended. It's just conversations that we have over here, and it's not to offend anybody. I don't offend people. What the fuck I say out my mouth is what I mean. And if people get offended by my conversation pieces, that's because people is offended. Now today, I got a threshold that I'm trying to meet. I'm trying to meet $100 in the Cash App, $Bulletz Gotti. Let's get to this $100 threshold that we're trying to meet today. If you support the content, if you support the channel, please donate, man. Donate to $Bulletz Gotti. Hold on, let me just put that right there. $Bulletz Gotti, man. Support to the channel, man. Support to us, support to my people, and support to everybody that comes on here. I don't have a problem with nobody, long as we are on one accord and y'all working with me like I'm working with y'all, because I am going to Patreon because I want to put a lot of my content on Patreon. Support the Patreon, support my YouTube channel. Let's support everybody. Because one thing about me, it's always about the team. So teamwork makes the dream work. You know, teamwork makes the dream work. But shout out to everybody that's coming in the building. Let me just support. Oh my God. Hey Andrew, how you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing very good. I'm doing very good. I'm doing very good. I just had to start the live up. I'm sorry it took me so long. Hello, Jennifer. How you doing?
Hey there. How's
Yes,
everybody
yes, yes.
doing?
I'm good. I'm
Good.
good.
How
I'm
you
good.
doing?
Good.
We waiting for Amy, right?
Yes, we
Yeah, I
are.
was just about to text her until I saw Jen, but I'm sure Jen's probably done it, so I'm just not
Well,
going to even bother.
yeah, she just texted me and said
Okay.
to get the link. So hang on.
Yes. I
Okay.
just want.
Yeah, it took
I
me a
just
minute
want.
because my computer crashed and
Oh,
then I
I
had to
see Amy
upload.
now. I see Amy. Yes.
Yeah, I see her now
Okay.
too.
Okay. I thank y'all for coming. I just wanted to introduce everybody. This is my guest here, everybody. I want y'all to please give them a warm welcome. We're going to be talking about serial killers, the law, people getting exonerated for things that they did not do, and I want to let my guy Andrew introduce himself, and then Amy, then Jen. All three of y'all can introduce yourself, but Andrew, you can go first, bro.
Okay. Well, thank you for having us on. My name's Andrew. I host Unforbidden Truth. I'm about to launch another podcast mid to late September with a juvenile mass murderer by the name of James Wiley. But for now, I host Unforbidden Truth. I interview convicted murderers, survivors of violent crime, and professionals in the mental health and law enforcement field.
Okay, okay. Amy, are you there?
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, okay. I want you to introduce yourself to everybody.
Sorry, I was sending out the link to everybody. So I'm Amy Ray Davis. I typically go last because it's always one of those things where everybody talks about like their podcast, and I'm just sitting over here going, I don't have one.
But
I'm
you're
just
getting
the
one.
professor.
The
So
professor.
yeah, I'm just the professor. Um, So I am I'm a professor, like I said. I run a paralegal studies program, and the law has essentially become my life, advocacy, things like that. And so add that in with true crime and growing up in a world where Adam Walsh disappeared, and we see the rise of true crime on TV, and here I am.
Okay, okay. Jen.
Hey, I'm Jen. I am somewhat the host of Two of a Crime, mostly on TikTok. I am a victim advocate and, pedophile hunter in my
Okay,
spare time.
Okay. Okay. Well, I want to thank y'all guys for coming. We were supposed to do this last week, but something I got caught up. But this week I said we're gonna do it. We're definitely gonna do it. We're gonna have the people come through and watch the channel and see and watch our dialogue because I would love to do this like whenever you guys are free, can do like a Wednesday weekly show that we can talk about certain cases. But I want to start the show now because I want to ask you guys. Are you guys watching the Scott Peterson show on Peacock?
I haven't watched it yet, no, but I
Oh
really want to.
yes,
I don't know about
I
them.
I watched it. That's one of my favorites.
Okay, hey, Jen, how you like it? The program.
Well, okay, so there's two. There's one about her, and then there's one the face to face. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the face to
The face
face,
to
the
face
face to
with.
face. Yes.
Okay, so I think it's good, but I got to tell you, it does not convince me that he didn't do it. He did it. Still,
Okay. Okay.
I think.
Okay. Oh, I'm gonna be honest. Me watching both documentaries. I feel like because I'm gonna watch the Lacey Peterson one on Netflix,
Yeah.
and I'm really like, and one of my it makes me feel that he's guilty, but then when I watch both documentaries because I've been following the case for so long,
Yeah.
and just seeing how the district attorney and everybody literally like they botched the case and how they really got the conviction was because of the mistress. But I really feel this, right? They said that it was two men that were in the area at the time when she was in the house. And then they saying that he said that he was basically coming from his boat when he entered his home that she was already deceased. And then they saying that it was two men that were next door doing a robbery and she saw these two men. Now, if this can be true, because I've seen a lot of cases that people were vindicated and basically somebody else did the murder. And I think that a lot of times we have overzealous district attorneys that basically want to make a career for himself in the media's eyes. We've seen that with Marsha Clark and Christopher Darden with the OJ case, how they literally botched the case. And basically they could have had a successful case if they didn't put Mark Furman on trial. If they didn't put him on the
Hmm.
stand, it would have been a better case. But
Yep.
once they put him, he ruined their whole case. So a lot of times, a lot of district attorneys ruin their whole case when they put the wrong type of people on the case. And with the Scott Peterson case, what kind of ruined it for me was that they went off the hearsay of the girlfriend, which was the mistress or whatever she was to him, the side piece, whatever. She went on the stand and said what she said. Now, we don't know what happened. He may have killed her, he may have not. But what we're seeing is the fact that they're showing these other evidence that there were two people on the scene at the time that were next door by his house that basically were people that were doing a robbery. So if they have this evidence, newfound evidence that it was two men that were doing a robbery and these were violent men, that gives him a little bit, innocent until proven guilty. And we've seen a lot of
But
cases.
those two men, that's not new.
Yeah, no, I
That's
know that
always,
that's
yeah,
been
that's always been. We've
that's
always known
always
there were
been.
two dudes, but the timeline is off though. And
Yeah,
also when he called 911, and I know you know this because you watched it, but he called 911, he
yeah,
said, I just got done golfing.
yeah. He did say that. Yes,
Okay, so he lied. He made weights, concrete weights. And when she floated to the top, all that was there was a torso because her arms and legs were weighted down.
true,
He
true.
lied about where he was. He went fishing on Christmas Eve, which to most normal families is like the holiday. Christmas Eve when his wife was 9 months pregnant and
Yeah,
lied about where he was. When he called 911, he said, I've been golfing all day.
yeah. He
He
So
did. Say,
it go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in for a second, and just give something that's like a cautionary tale here.
No,
Yeah.
no, you were
One of
going.
the things that so I was sitting there, right, watching the one on Michael Peterson. And anyhow, long story short, what ended up happening was I'm sitting there going, this thing's making me feel a certain way, right? Like I really feel for this guy. And I felt very manipulated. And I was like, what in the world is this? So I went and I started doing some research on it. So what I did after that was I found that they left out a lot of evidence that they weren't talking about because I was reading the court documents and stuff. And I was like, why are they leaving this stuff out? And then I started doing research on the actual production, and it was being edited by someone he was dating. And I was like, oh, this is why I feel emotionally manipulated.
Yeah.
So my point is, just as a cautionary tale, when watching any of these things, just remember that anybody who's making one, they have an agenda. Their agenda is to make money and to put out
Absolutely.
their narrative.
Yep.
So it is one of those things. But I do, as somebody who's like in who likes the law and stuff like that, I do like being able to see all arguments presented. That's it. That's all I want to say.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the two guys, which I thought had been cleared, like they had been completely cleared of this because the timing and the dog walking and all that stuff was off. But and I don't know. I'm not the Amy, so I don't know totally about the law, but I do know that to me, and I'm different. I could be totally, I'm just whatever, in my own world. But when you're lying, that's a problem. He's at a candlelight vigil for his dead wife or missing wife, and he's calling his mistress to say he's in Paris. Like, and I understand him lying to her because he was having an affair and all that, but I don't know, all the other behaviors, I don't know. He's crazy. And I don't know why the Innocence Project thinks, like, I don't know why they, or the LA Innocence Project is picking this up. It makes no sense to me.
But you think that you think by doing these documentaries, you think it could help his case?
I think it helps with the court
Yeah,
of public opinion. And I
yeah, I
think the
do
court of
too.
public opinion does weigh a lot these days because
Yeah.
when you start having like society in general start feeling a certain way for you, what do we see happening? Look at Stephen Avery and in Making a Murderer. What happened in that case
Mm-hmm.
is
Mm-hmm.
you start having people who start sharing his story all over the place. They start doing all of these kinds of things where they're like talking about it. They're even fighting about it. And all of it does nothing but bring attention of advocates. So what
Mm-hmm.
happened from there? It led to him getting Kathleen Zellner. No, it doesn't mean that it's made any difference in his case overall, but nonetheless, he still has like one hell of an attorney.
Yeah.
So that
And
helped.
think about Gypsy Rose and how she's treated today versus the Menendez brothers. Like they're in prison for life, and Gypsy Rose is walking around getting her nose done.
Hey,
Things are
Jen, let
different.
me ask you about that, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
they also got a movie coming out on Netflix, the
Mm-hmm.
Menendez brothers.
Yeah.
You think that their case should be like with the whole Scott Peterson case and Gypsy Rose case trying to get an overturn? You think
Uh,
their case should be overturned?
1,000%. I think they've paid their dues.
Same. I do
100%.
too. And what's interesting is Jen and I just met someone recently who told us she said, I don't know if all this stuff was going on like behind the scenes with the sexual abuse and stuff, but she did say, she said, I worked with his dad and his dad was awful.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I heard something like about their father, and I think I was watching the Menudo's documentary. One
Yeah.
of the members of the Menudo said that he also touched him inappropriately as a
Yep.
teenager.
So Jose Menendez's mother molested him, and
Oh,
when he was 10 years old, and the sister watched him get molested by the mom. When Jose was 10 years old in Cuba, they were at a country club, and he burned it to the ground at 10. The man was a problem. Those boys should
oh,
not be in prison. I stand by it.
Oh. No,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree,
Yeah.
Jen. I mean, that first case, I think they had like a mistrial, right? If I'm not mistaken, the first case that they, and then when they got they went to the trial again, they found him guilty. But I think with all those things being found out about the father, I agree with you. They should have their
Hmm.
case overturned.
Yeah, I think it, and I think he's so Eric Menendez's daughter, because both boys were able to get married and have kids in prison. The daughter is really advocating for his, like a new trial or whatever, trying to get him out. So I don't know. And I do think, going back to the documentary thing, I do think that these things, I agree with Amy, they do change public opinion. And right now, it's like public opinion is really the only thing that matters. I mean, look at Karen Reed.
Yeah, true. That is true.
I think it's also what keeps people in prison, whether guilty or not. I mean, you could have
Mm-hmm.
somebody
Mm-hmm.
who's in there who, has a good case for innocence, whether legal or actual or both. And the court of public opinion will weigh so heavily that they'll start attacking, DAs who might be working with a conviction integrity unit, or the appellate judges, or, like people who are in politics and it's, an election year. All of those things
Yeah.
count.
Yep. Yep. Agreed. I think that's why they keep calling 2024 the year of exposure, because we're in a presidential race. And look at the things that are coming out. I mean, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, Bullets, was P. Diddy. Like, what do you?
Yeah, we could talk about that.
Yeah.
We could definitely talk about that,
What do you
Jen.
think about all that? What's?
Um, it's a lot going on in that case. I just saw that the feds now are about to open a case now with, I think it's in a hotel in
Mm-hmm.
South Beach with one of his girlfriends, and basically they're investigating his whole stash, and they're saying that they have solid proof and solid ground to get an indictment on this case that they have now.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I think that P. Diddy is a long time coming for him.
You think that you think that they have with this whole thing, right? You think that this case is going to be solid, that they can get a indictment though, Jen?
Um, I I think if the
Court of
right
public opinion.
Yeah, I think if the right people, and see, that's the thing, it's about the pressure. Like, even if they're dirty feds, they still have to crumble under pressure from above. So
Hmm.
if they've got anything on him, which I guarantee they do, I mean, I'm not saying he'll spend the rest of his life in prison the way OJ did, or the way that Cosby did, which
Hmm.
is not at all. But I mean, his reputation. Look at Cosby and OJ, ruined. Their reputations
Hmm.
were completely destroyed.
Yeah, yeah.
And P Diddy's going to go down. And if he doesn't bring people down with him, I'd be shocked.
Well, I mean that's true. That is kind of true. I mean, I think with the whole thing when they went in, they raided in his house. I really think that it's some video or some footage that basically is exposing a lot of people. So I think like what you just said, he may take people down with him if they come for him.
Or the people above him will make sure that he takes the fall.
Yeah, yeah. Something like Jeffrey
Yeah.
Epstein. Something like
Yep.
Epstein.
Yeah.
Something like Epstein.
Yeah. Yeah. P Diddy's big and bad before, but now what's he got? Because they're gonna drop him. I mean, they're not gonna want to be associated with him. J Lo's getting divorced over it.
So,
Ben left her.
just to add in, I'm not going to say exactly what it is that I'm doing, but I've been ghostwriting a project, and anyhow, the person who brought the project to the publisher is P Diddy's old manager. And I recently found out all of this stuff, and I was like, we're gonna have to talk about this, because I am not really interested in having my name connected to anything because he was the manager during that particular time period. And anyhow, he he sent me a message because we were kind of going back and forth. He was being a jerk to me. And one of the things that he said to me in that message was he said, as the media has been eating away at our bad boy legacy, it still goes to show that there are stories that need to be told, such as this one. And I hope we can continue to move forward with less emotion and a lot more passion for the best outcome. And I was like, at first when I was reading it, I didn't catch on to the fact that he had bad boy in capital letters. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm out. I'm out. I don't want anything to do with him.
Oh, oh, oh. That's interesting. That's interesting, Amy. So his manager wanted you to write his life story.
No, not his life story. He brought a third party in. He was
Oh,
facilitating this other person's life story to be told. And that's where I actually got brought in on kind of like, it was kind of a whim because the person was already working with another ghostwriter. And I got brought in because the person had kind of ghosted the ghostwriter. And so I was brought in to kind of say, hey, we need to get you back on track. We need to make a schedule. I'm here to help you guys like finish up. And then it was one of those things of just kind of clicking and going, you know what? I want to work with you instead. And so that's where I came into and how I kind of fell into that project.
wow, wow, wow. So he was upset that you didn't want to finish helping him out with the book, huh, Amy?
Oh, I had no problem with that. I had a problem with the way he was talking to me. And I don't think that certain types of people are used to people standing up and saying, sorry, not sorry.
Oh no, that's understandable. That's understandable. No, I understand how you feel. That's crazy. That's crazy. So he basically wanted you to tell his story, and you just tell him in a nice way. No, I just can't do it. It's understandable.
Can't do it. Got morals.
That's understandable. That's very understandable. That's very understandable, Amy. Hey Andrew, how you doing, Andrew?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just sitting back here listening to you guys.
Yeah, Andrew. So how was everything going with your podcast and the killers and stuff? Like, because I know you've been doing a lot of interviews with a lot of serial killers, and like, I want to ask you this question, right? Because I was watching, I saw the craze about guys like Ted Bundy and what's my guy, the one that got killed in prison,
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Jeffrey Dahmer, yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer. And a lot of times when I watch how people fall in love with these guys, right? And this is one thing I tell people, right? Never underestimate a serial killer because you could be walking amongst these people. Like today, I was on the Citizen app and I was looking at how many like areas have sex offenders and you don't even know a sex offender is living next door to you.
Yep.
That's
That app is crazy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but
it is really crazy.
Amy, that app is great because you want to know why? Because you know who your next door neighbors are.
Oh no, I agree with that.
Yeah, because
But
a lot
but
of
you
times,
also know who your next door neighbors are, and it's scary.
yeah, it's very scary, but it's great to know that because now you can understand if you're going for a jog or you're going for a bike ride as a woman and you don't understand why this guy watches you every day, and when you see the information that this guy is a sex offender, that is crazy. And that's why I say that you don't know who's a serial killer. A serial killer could walk among you every day. He can work at your job. He can be somebody that you say hello to. You don't know who these people are. And that was the thing with Jeffrey Dahmer. Like, you did not know he was a serial killer. He was a very highly intelligent man. He went to work. He wasn't a guy that basically looked like a guy that was a killer. He went to the clubs at night when he came from work, and then after that, he'd just kill the guys, take them home, kill them, and just go on with his day like nothing ever happened until his next door neighbor was smelling this foul odor and was like, "There's something wrong with this odor." But if she never would have smelled that foul odor and just mind her business, he probably would have got away with that, you know?
That's true. But you've got those guys. I swear, people can sit there and talk about all the serial killers all day long, but the ones that are the scariest are the ones that are undetectable, like Jeffrey Dahmer. Dennis Rader's a good one too. He was blending in. He was the deacon in the church. Ask Jen why she won't go to church.
Oh my God. Jen, you won't go to church because of
I
him,
mean,
Jen?
you can't trust anybody. You can't trust anybody. I mean, it's like we got killer pastors and child molesting. It's I
Hey,
just
and
can't
killer
trust.
cops. Don't forget killer cops. Look at the
Yes,
Golden
Yep,
State
they're
Killer.
everywhere.
yes, they're everywhere. Like you can't trust anyone. So why leave the house? Just kidding.
No, that's true. But you know something? Like this is the thing, right? I just wanted to I just want to have a conversation with a killer. Just want to know what goes through his mind and just kill. Cause it's a motivation for somebody to just wake up, go by his day, and then at night just say, I'm turning my killer instinct on. Like that just it's crazy to me because if you can just go by your day and wake up and nothing goes through your mind that you just murdered anybody, that's just a different type of sickness and a different type of craziness. But it's also just a different kind of mentality of a person that it makes them want to be. And a lot of those guys, some of them are not antisocial guys.
Yep.
A lot of them are very sociable people.
Right.
Like
Right.
Ted Bundy, he was very sociable. He was a guy,
Right.
charming guy, very handsome, likable by the women. So he wasn't a guy that wasn't hard on not getting any woman. He can get a woman. He was into politics. So this wasn't a guy that was a dumb, ignorant guy. So that's the thing that always get me with these serial killers is like what turns them on to be a serial killer? Like what wakes them up in the mind to just say, well, I have to exterminate this type of people. Like Jeffrey Dahmer thing was, I had to exterminate all gay men, and then he had like a fetish of gay men. So it bewilders me sometimes.
Andrew, you haven't hooked this man up?
Well, I've offered him a few times to talk to Jonathan Cruz, who I think would be good in the sense of talking about hip hop and his crimes and whatever else he wanted to talk about with him, because he's a vice lord. He won't talk about that much, but he is a vice lord in prison, and I've heard quite a bit of his conversations. So he would be a good one to talk to. Or I can get you a serial killer, a mass shooter to talk to. There's so many different people. I could make a list actually of you could like take your pick from who you want to talk to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Jonathan Cruz is probably the best one, just in all honesty, because we've had him on a couple of times. I'm telling you, he will answer anything, and he is so like, I don't know, just trust that one. People actually enjoy having him like talk.
Yeah, he's not dumb. He's intelligent, and he knows how to speak, and I don't know if you would say he's from the hood or not, but he's from Indianapolis. He's from Florida, but he caught his case in Indianapolis. He killed 3 people over the course of like a 3-day robbery spree. He robbed like 70, 80 people, I guess, and 3 men who didn't comply. I guess he had to kill them or something like that. So yeah, I could get him for you for sure. And he's, like I said, he's a vice lord. He talks gang politics, and he was supposed to go to New York, I believe, actually, when he got arrested. I believe they were supposed to hide him up there, and he got busted, and now he's doing 3 life sentences.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Andrew, right? I told you that I was supposed to interview the Taco Bell killer, but he kept having cold feet. I don't understand why every time, like, because me and my partner, we kept like, we wanted him to come on the platform. We said, like, we'll do anything. We'll put money on your books, anything. And he just kept giving us cold feet. He just didn't do it. And I just didn't understand because I really wanted to see, like, what was the reason why he went at Taco Bell and did all these killings. And the crazy part is that the Zodiac killer in New York, Andrew?
Yeah, Herberto Seda or something like
Let me
that.
tell you
Yeah, I
something.
interviewed him.
Crazy thing. My cousin knows that guy. Like literally knows that guy. Like he lived in the same building as my cousin. The crazy part,
Oh wow.
and the crazy thing is, my other cousin that's incarcerated right now, he knows him too. And the crazy part is, the guy was a friendly guy. So when he snapped and he did those killings, it's just crazy. You know, these guys are just normal individuals. You would be playing with these guys, having conversations with them, and then they just turn into menaces, just by one day. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah, I talk to a lot of them every single day, and it's just like normal conversation. It's not about like them killing or like stalking or anything. It's just like how's the weather there? How are you doing? Like I'm reading this book today, just random everyday shit
Those
with
guys
these.
like to read. One thing I noticed about them, they like to read a lot of books, and they become very religious in jail. That's the
Yeah, yeah,
crazy thing.
definitely.
Like I never could understand it. Like even David Berkowitz, like this guy's like a whole pastor in prison, and this guy was the 44 killer, the 44 Magnum killer, and this guy, he's a nice, lovable guy by a lot of the prisons in there. Like guys like him. But
Right.
dude
So I
wasn't.
I don't know if you know of Wayne Williams, but
Yes, yes,
he's
yes.
connected.
Yes,
What?
Amy. I know about Wayne. I know about Wayne Williams. My cousin, like back in the days when he worked for CBS in Atlanta, he
Oh yeah,
interviewed
you said
Wayne. Yes, he interviewed Wayne Williams. This is back like in the 80s, like late 80s, when he was already incarcerated. And we had
yeah.
a conversation. I told you this, Amy. Like we had a conversation. I was at my cousin's house and he was having a barbecue. And I was telling him about the documentary on HBO when they was talking about the Atlanta children murder. And he was like, he still don't believe that Wayne did that murder. Like he really believes that he's innocent and that he was framed for something that he did not do just because they wanted to get the case over with.
I agree with that, but I'll circle back to that. You were talking about that, like how they become religious. I actually talked to him about this not long ago, and he said that gangs in prison and religion in prison are basically ways of assimilating and getting protection from one another.
That's true. That is so true. That's so true. Um, I think a lot of times, Amy, this is one thing that I learned, that a lot of guys, they'll either join a gang, or the Muslim religion is very strong in the penitentiaries, especially in the federal penitentiaries and even in
Hmm.
the
Yeah.
state penitentiaries. Like the Muslim religion is very strong. So a lot of guys, they tend to join Islam in prison instead of joining the gangs. So they become Muslim, and some of them continue the faith, and a lot of them abandon the faith when they be released. But those are like the two biggest things in just in that culture.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But the thing with Wayne, what I find interesting about his story is that his father was a photographer, a big time photographer, and was successful in Atlanta. And just the way they handled that case was so wrong, because they really didn't take the time to investigate. And I think they wanted to get it over with because they wanted to find somebody to just lock up to say that they solved the case, but they didn't take time to see who did it, because those kids' necks was snapped, right? And it was the way that the murders were done, were like somebody that was professional, a hitman, or somebody that just was trained to kill somebody with their bare hands. So a lot of those it was one young boy that was in the army, and he would be there all the time at night, and he was just one of those kids that just didn't stay home. He was one of those floating away kids. And they said the way when they found him, his neck was snapped, and just the way he was, like he was beaten. It was certain things that was like, it was kind of like they tortured these kids. So when they looked at Wayne Williams, and you could tell the person that did this was a physically built, physically somebody that was very strong. And the way you looked at Wayne Williams, he did not meet the description of the person that you would expect to do that
No,
type of crime.
he's a little short guy.
Yeah, he's very short. He's very short. He was I wouldn't say skinny, but he was on the chubby side. So he wasn't really
He's
like a
very
guy that,
skinny now.
yeah, very. I know he's very skinny there because I seen him like on CNN a couple times on the TV. He had lost a lot of weight, but around that time he was very chubby. And the guy that I would see that done this is somebody that is physically fit, somebody that was very opposing and very intimidating. So a lot of times, like this is what I was saying earlier, Amy, is that a lot of these prosecutors that do a lot of cases, they just want people to just convict so they can build their portfolio up. They're not trying to look for the murderer. They're not trying to look for the suspect. They're just looking for somebody to just pin the murder on. And that's wrong because you can have an innocent man in there and they can die in prison knowing that they're innocent. And then when it comes to find out, because we've seen this with a lot of cases, Amy, like a lot of cases that was watching a lot of documentaries and you've seen it where these people are being like perfect example. I don't know if you guys are familiar about the case in Chicago. It was a murder. It's called, the documentary was called Murder in the Park, and the guy was incarcerated for the murder, and he supposedly had killed these people in the park at night. I think it was a female and two guys. And the Innocent Project got him out because he saved this guy in prison that or was going to be murdered by the gang. I don't know if it was the Gangster Disciples or the Vice Lords, but it was one of those Chicago gangs. And he was kind of like a shot call in the jail, so he saved him. The guy told him, I do this for you, you have to do something back for me. So what the guy did was have the Innocent Project contact his aunt. His aunt was married to this guy, or they were divorced, but they was married at the time. And she had a drug problem. She was I think she was addicted to crack cocaine. And they went and they interviewed her, and they did a whole recording of her basically instructing her to say this, that her husband did this, and he was the one that murdered. The man eventually got found. The case got thrown out. They released him. He was freed. Now, the other man was incarcerated for something that he did not do. He did not even do the crime. He wasn't even at the park at the time, and he did not even know these people. But his wife was instructed by the Innocent Project at the time and by this man who saved her nephew in jail. So he was able to get free later on in the case. But his wife, when she was on her deathbed, she said that no, my husband did not do this. I was basically threatened and told to say this because my nephew was going to be murdered in the prison. And cases like that always rub me the wrong way, that people can do a lot of wrong and dirty things to people. And a lot of people are coming home from jail now just because of people doing things like that just to build their portfolios. That is wrong. You know, I think if a person is innocent and you want to find the guilty party, do what most detectives do, solve the case. Don't find the suspect that you think is the greatest suspect, that you want to believe that, oh, he's the one because he said these kind of things and it was signs of him doing this. That's just being lazy. You know, that's lazy detective work, I think. You know.
No, I totally agree with that. One thing that a lot of people don't know is, they know about Wayne's case and they know about them bringing in the quote unquote pattern cases. But what they don't know is that the city of Atlanta or Fulton County had just used this the first time prior to Wayne, and it was on a guy named James Walraven, and he was called the Atlanta Bathtub Strangler. And they were able to introduce patterns there as well to be able to get his conviction. And so Wayne came next. And so they decided to introduce those things. What they failed to, I guess, do was cover their butts well enough, because looking at the documents, you can see where they had originally charged him with Nathaniel Cater, which that whole thing is a complete and total just joke in general. But the Jimmy Ray Payne case was brought in to be able to create the patterns, because this is where you have the fibers. What is interesting about that is the fact that without Jimmy Ray Payne, then all of this other stuff goes away. I agree, free Wayne. So one of the things that, people, because people get real hung up on those fibers. Oh, it's so special. It's so this, it's so that. But it wasn't actually as special as people think that it is, because it was being ripped off. The patent was DuPont's, and it was being ripped off by these smaller manufacturers. And DuPont wasn't actually going after and trying to enforce their patent with all of these other companies. And so they said, well, it's definitely this one company, and it's definitely theirs, and this is why the probability is so small that it has to be his. But back in 1981, when the trial started, and I don't know why, like, certain things weren't ever done. For example, like, I feel like the defense should have said, hey, did they prove that my client did it, or somebody in my client's home and or in his environment did it? Like, I feel like there was enough to be able to call those things into question, but they didn't do that. But the thing of it is that I have to say about Wayne, and this is why I will stand by Wayne, no, regardless, is because every single ounce of his case violates the Lacard principle, and you can't get past the science. That says that when two things touch, where there's friction, there's going to be a mandatory transference both ways. So how did something of Wayne's, either Wayne's, bedspread, or Wayne's carpet, or Wayne's whatever, get onto 29 victims, 30 if you want to include John Porter, but how did it get on those victims, but nothing of those victims got on him or his environments? And that's what doesn't make sense. But we can, you know what, you should plan a whole time, like, for us to have the talk about the Atlanta child murders, because I can get you a family member on to talk about, their case, because they know his case was closed out to the pattern cases as well. And he knows that his cousin wasn't killed by Wayne. We've gone through and we've looked at so many different things, and this is not just me coming from a place of knowing Wayne. I've known him for the past 3.5 years. And it's not coming from a place of, like, personally knowing him or anything like that. This is coming from, like, real, like, research and real feelings on this case and things like that. I really and truly believe that some of these cases, they don't all fit together. This was a fraud that was, perpetuated on the Black community. And
Yes.
during that time period, there was the first Black administration in Atlanta, and you're in post-civil rights South. They don't like that. There were all kinds of things that were happening during that time period, and and then you have these kids. If you look at the numbers, honestly, the numbers don't show that there was an influx in deaths that year. So it was one of those things of, why did the media start counting? And why did they start counting these particular ones? The bulk of them died by, some sort of, it was either like positional asphyxiation or, manual strangulation, things like that. But you have Edward Hope Smith, who's an outlier because he was shot. You have John Porter and Anthony Carter, who were stabbed. You have a few outliers that are not in that equation.
Hey,
And so it's like, how do you
Amy,
put them together? Yeah.
Amy, what the case, right? Because I know one of the guys that were basically that was murdered, supposedly they said by Wayne, was a guy that was, like, I think he was an alcoholic or a drug addict or something, but he was like the first, I think he was like the maybe the first or second murder in that case. But the way they described the way he was killed, he was, I think, was shot, right, Amy, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah. Edward Hope Smith was shot, and he was with, like, paired up by the cops and the media with Alfred Evans. And Alfred Evans is a sad one too, because Alfred Evans is the one that his mother didn't even think that that was him that was in the grave.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
really sad.
Wow. No, I would love to do a program on this. Amy, I'd love to collaborate with you guys to tell this story, because I feel that his case is an injustice. I feel like he should have a new trial. I think he should be freed. This man's been in prison for almost 42 years, 43. Is it 42, right, Amy? I'm not mistaken.
It's 42. He was convicted. Well,
42,
he's been in for 43 because he was arrested
43.
in June of 81, but he was convicted
81, yeah.
on February 28th of 82.
Yeah, so he's been in there 43 years, and to be in prison for 43 years and for nobody in Fulton County to open that case, to say, wait a minute, we got it wrong. I mean, they've done documentary after documentary. They did one on HBO, they did one on CNN, and his story's been, they did a TV movie, and the way people, they fly past that story, and that's a sad story because his DNA and nothing was found on these people. He wasn't even there at the scene. Like, he wasn't there at the crime of the scene that they're trying to say. All they kept saying was, well, he was seen at the Omni. That's what they supposedly said. That he was seen at the Omni, and that he drove around in his car, and he was socially awkward and all type of things. They said he was gay and all the stuff that they were saying about this young man. And
Oh, yeah.
nobody has proven any of those things to be true, And that's what I'm saying. They didn't solve the case. These people are still looking for, the family still want answers for their children that were murdered. And they have not gotten any answers. They're just getting a bunch of excuses, and people are going to keep saying that this man is innocent.
No, I totally agree with you. That is one of the things one of the things they also don't talk about is who some of these other like suspects were. Everybody they start clinging to John Douglas. Sorry, John Douglas. I know we're friends on Facebook, but I mean, it's true. He's the one who said it has to be a black person, because they wouldn't be able to go into the community otherwise. And it discounts the fact that you still have people who were living in that area that weren't black that could have been easily going in and out there. You've got delivery people, cops, paramedics, fire, utility workers, delivery workers, postal workers. You've got friends, you've got people who are dating people in the area. It's bullcrap to sit there and say that this is the only way that you could have somebody kill these kids.
No, that's very much true. I think they were trying to just pin it because they looked at it saying, well, it, like you said, a black administration, them looking at the area and them saying that, oh, wait a minute, it's a black guy. But there was a suspect of a guy that I think he was a truck driver that people pointed fingers at. I was watching a documentary, but they never followed it up. But like you said, Amy, they should have done better with the case. There's no way to just speculate because this guy comes from the area of Atlanta and he's known in the area. His father was known in the area because he was a photographer. To just put the blame on this guy is crazy, and the case should be open. He deserves a new case. He deserves a new case. He deserves a new trial. He deserves, the family deserve answers. They deserve to have this case solved and who really killed this man. This man is suffering in prison, and he may die in prison if they do not come with a new trial.
I totally agree. It has to happen. And he's got an attorney, and I don't know, like, I'm not privy to any of that information. But hopefully, things are going to be moving and coming to be because he deserves it. It is so long overdue. And with Fulton County having a conviction integrity unit, that just makes it so much. I don't know. I feel like it makes it hopefully easier for him to get through it.
No, that's so true. That is so true. I just think that they have had different mayors after different mayors, and this case has been brought to the table multiple times throughout the different mayors that they have had in Atlanta. This case should not be, you know, continue to be like just glossed over, And like you said, Amy, he has an attorney. That's great. but this case needs to be solved for the families, because the parents of these children are still alive. They're
There's
still
4.
living, and they deserve, before they leave this earth, they deserve the justice for their
Oh,
family
yeah.
members. You don't want these people dying in vain to not know who killed their sons, you know, who killed their children, because these were young men that lost their lives, basically were targeted. This was a targeted type of murder. This wasn't a murder that wasn't targeted. It was, the way these kids were killed, and even it was torture. Like their necks were snapped, they were strangled. It was this right here is something that anybody should be, and the stories are out there, Amy. It's not like this wasn't recently talked about. This was recently talked on HBO like a couple years ago. So I mean, I'm with you, Amy. I'm with you. Like, we can do this anytime. We can do this story, all of us, because I want to give the awareness of this case, and for people to see that the justice system is very flawed. That people that are incarcerated right now, and I'm watching a couple cases. I saw one with this guy. I think he's Native American. He is a they've been talking about this case that he was framed and set up for something that he did not do. And it's a lot of cases that I stumble across every day, and I watch, and I'm saying to myself, like, why aren't district attorneys are being so lazy with cases? If they're trying to solve murders and they're trying to give closure for the families, solve the case for the families. I get it. People find a suspect, and another case that I'm kind of like been following again is the case in Maryland. The guy, he had got found not they overturned his case. They found he was innocent, and then his case mysteriously got overturned again. It's the case where his high school sweetheart was murdered, and they said that he killed his girlfriend. Are you familiar with that case, Amy?
No, I'm not. Actually, I'm going to Google it.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Maryland?
Yeah, Maryland. I forgot his name, but he basically was. They had a documentary about him, and he had a murder conviction. His girlfriend, it was I think it was Maryland or DC. It was one of those places. But the case was basically, it was an HBO series. They had did the series in 2019, and he was in jail since 2000, and he was freed like a couple years ago. But the Supreme Court ruled that they reinstated his conviction, even though his
Oh,
murder conviction
the
was
Saeed or
overturned.
whatever.
Yeah,
That
he's
Yes,
one.
talking about the guy on the podcast Serial, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, 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 yes. His case was like they remain his was reinstated because the it was up in the Supreme Court. Basically his murder. They proved that he did not do the murder, but they got overruled by the Supreme Court that it's reinstated the murder conviction, which is kind of fucked up and it's kind of foul because they found evidence that he did not do this thing. They did a whole documentary about him. The show The Night Of is kind of like loosely based on his case, and I just feel when these type of cases that people are being exonerated, and then these like I said, overzealous district attorneys, overzealous people do not want these people, whatever is political or whatever, they do not want to see these guys free. And I just don't understand. If we want people prove innocent until proven guilty, it should not be guilty until proven innocent. That's the thing that always rubbed me the wrong way with prosecutors. Do you want to find the person guilty already and then he has to prove himself innocent? Or do you want the people to be innocent until proven guilty by his peers?
Well, see, and that's what's messed up because, your jury of peers I mean, they're supposed to have a clean slate when they come in. And we talked about the court of public opinion. And it's like almost impossible now, to be able to have a clean slate when it comes to the jurors.
No, that is so true. That is so true, Amy. I believe that a lot of times, a lot of jurors, they have their biasness already. And they look at a person as the suspect. They're not going to look at it from the perspective that this guy may be innocent, and we just don't know until we hear all the evidence. Once they get a before they get a conviction, if they look at the case and they see that, well, he did it, just by the way the evidence is put out there. And a lot of times the evidence may not be true. It may just be to paint a certain picture of a person. They're not taking time to just look at the case, because I always believe the to get a conviction, you have to have reasonable doubt evidence. You have to prove your case, and you see it time and time again with a lot of cases that it has mistrials. Well, they couldn't come with a conviction because the case, just the evidence is so botched that they just can't. It's like the case in Massachusetts right now with the lady with her boyfriend that was the cop. They showed that they're trying to say that this lady killed her boyfriend and ran him over with the car. And then the case was so botched that the medical examiner said that she didn't kill this man. So now you haven't split with the case because the medical examiner is saying that this man wasn't killed by this woman. And now the district attorney is trying to push it. No, this woman killed her. What do you mean? No, that's the thing that I don't get. Is your case should just be tossed out. Like my cousin right now, he has a case in Pennsylvania that he's fighting. Like the cops did not have any evidence that he sold anything. They didn't have a video. They didn't have him on audio. They just didn't have anything. They just went off a hearsay. And to have a case, if you have the suspect there, you're supposed to. This is supposed to be an operation or a case that you're basically investigating this person for months and months and months and months. So you're building a portfolio of evidence. You have pictures, you have recordings of their phone conversations, everything. But if you don't have any of those things, you're just going by Facebook pictures of them taking vacations and trips. That's not a case. You don't have any evidence. That's lack of evidence. That case should just be thrown out because you're just going off a hearsay. That's being prejudiced of the case. And a lot of times the district attorneys bank off of the jury, and the jury does have a lot of jurors does have biasness just because of what they may think of deemed of the person, the suspect up there. And I think that should not be. I think if you have a case, you should have proven that this person did this. You have to prove that this person, reasonable doubt, it has to be proven. If the reasonable doubt evidence does not show that the person did it, then that's just hearsay evidence, you know.
Jen loves talking Karen Reed, by the way.
I love talking Karen Reed. She's another one. What do you think about that, Bullets?
Well, I looked at that Karen Reed case, right? And like I was talking about earlier, when I watched the trial, and I was watching it on Law and Crime and other platforms, and the case to me, right, is that she was his girlfriend, but they were trying to like put anybody. They wanted to just put somebody as the suspect, that the girlfriend did this. And it was proven that this guy was beaten up.
Yeah.
So he was beaten up.
Yeah.
And a lot of other things happened. He was beaten up very badly, that they said. He had head trauma, blunt head trauma. And it did not come from the car.
Right.
So for them to say, the prosecutors to say that this woman ran this man over with her car, and they're showing that this man was already dead when the car was moved. It wasn't like he was dead when she moved the car and she just hit this guy. He had a fight. The guy had blunt force trauma to his head
Yeah.
already, and he was left in the snow. This woman
Mm.
did not hit this man. He was already murdered before this woman entered in her car. So that right there just showed that that case should have just been thrown out. That was waste of tax dollars. They didn't have a case against this woman.
Nope.
They were too lazy to find out who murdered this man, that they did not care. It was the girlfriend. They wanted to just say, well, the girlfriend, she was inside the car, and let's just put it on the girlfriend. That right there, I thought that was wrong. I thought that was lazy of them. I thought that they should have pursued the case more to find out who did he have a commotion and an argument and who he fought with before she entered in the car. Because if somebody's already dead and he already had blunt force trauma and the blunt force trauma did not come from the car, then right there that zero her out as a suspect. She's not even a suspect.
Yeah. I went into it thinking that she was probably drunk and hit him on accident. But during the trial, I mean, there were so many liars on the stand. It was embarrassing. Like, it was cringe.
Yeah.
Like, and they were being caught telling lies on the stand. Like, wow, like, it was weird. I think that definitely something else happened that night. And I think it's probably or could be the McAlbert's son, is what I think.
Yeah, I think it was somebody else that did it. I really believe that this guy had a fight, and whoever did that to him knew to dump his body there in the snow and get away.
The rumor is that they're a bunch of swingers, and the guy that killed John wanted Karen.
Oh.
Yeah.
But hey, Jen, so that footage when they are in the bar, right? Because they showed like a footage when they're at the bar. The guy that he was talking to, right? The two guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that those guys were the ones that assaulted him?
I think one of those guys, yes.
Because I watched the video, right? And it was him and her. They were standing at the bar and the guys were talking, but it looked like it was like an argument going on while like looking at the video. I really believe that those guys basically were the ones that assaulted him.
Yeah.
And left him.
She sent a text message to John and told him, basically, you're discussing your, like, your, I can't remember, it's like your sexual habits or whatever. She alluded to the fact that they were swinging.
Oh, so they had like an open relationship where they would go to swinging parties. Oh,
yes.
okay.
And I think that is what I think, something from that, because the guy that went to the Sally Port, do you remember when he was, I don't know, did you watch the trial?
Yeah, I watched the trial. Yeah, I watched the trial.
Remember when he was in Sally Port and they were trying to say that they flipped the picture trying to say he was on the other side of the car when he wasn't.
Yeah, they did say that. They found out that he wasn't. And
right, that they
that's
had flipped
that's the day
image.
before. If I'm not mistaken, Jen, that's like the day, like before the medical examiner came, right?
The night of, when they brought her car to the Sally Port.
Yeah.
He checked in, I think it was the night or like into the next morning.
Yeah, I think it was the next morning.
Yeah. So I don't know. And they're gonna try her again. That I think it was a humongous conspiracy by law enforcement who have high up friends.
But that's the thing, like, Jen, like, why would they pick on the girlfriend when the medical examiner said that the man was not murdered by her?
I think because they have to blame. They have to put the blame on someone,
and protect their own.
They're not. Yeah, they're not going to blame the cops.
Yeah,
everybody there was a cop, but her.
Yeah, that's true.
Every woman was married to a cop, but her.
Yeah.
She's the outsider. She's the outsider.
Yeah, that's true.
And unfortunately for Karen Reed, she had a drinking problem and also a temper problem when she drank. So
Oh,
it's going to be real easy to blame it on someone like that.
yeah, yeah,
So I don't know. I've started to think that trials are really just who's better at arguing.
They're
yeah.
plays,
I
they're
think
live action plays.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
yeah, they are at live action plays because when you watch some of these trials, and the funny thing is that these guys don't care if they get a conviction or not. It's just the reaction and the attention that they're getting on the media. You
I
know,
think they care that if they get a conviction, they just don't care who they convict.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
As long as they look good, I mean, it's insane. We one of I don't know if we talked about my case, my missing girl, but she was murdered and dumped somewhere, and the investigator that investigated her disappearance and murder got a medal for his amazing work. Okay, well, she's still missing.
Hmm.
So
That's
that's
amazing.
that's for show. That is for show. That is for everyone to think that the community is safe, and it's bullshit. They'll play any game they want to. Don't get me started on that.
That's true. Oh,
It's
that
like
is.
he didn't actually investigate anything, and he still 12 years later won't investigate anything, but they gave him a medal for his amazing job. Okay.
Hey, let me ask you guys something, Jen and Amy and Andrew. How you guys feel about the Idaho murderer?
Um I
That
need
is
I
such a contentious group of
Yeah,
people.
I
Uh,
always like to wait till trial. I really like. I mean, obviously, I think he did it, but I want some proof.
Something like when I found out that like the case, right? Because they were missing for a long time, and when I found out that the guy was in, like after he did the killing, he went right back to Pennsylvania, and it kind of like surprised me. And then when they talked about him, he was I think he's a professor in the colleges, if I'm not
Yep,
mistaken.
yep.
And I'm like, how did he like basically meet these four college kids and went all the way to Idaho, Idaho, really, because he lives in Pennsylvania. So how did he travel there just to murder four group
But
of
he was
college
he
kids?
was he was living. His parents were in Pennsylvania, but he was living in Idaho. And
Oh,
the girls, Xana and uh, I think it was Kaylee. Two of the girls worked at a vegan restaurant that he frequented.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. So he knew. So basically, he knew these people.
Oh yeah, he stalked them for months. Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
He drove by their house. I mean, they've got his GPS by their house 12 times.
Wow. Wow. So basically, so Jen, because I was looking at his story, he had a weight loss because he was a heavy guy. They
Yeah,
said he was a
yeah,
heavy guy. He was
yeah.
very, and he lost a lot of weight. And the story, when I first heard the story, it just didn't add up to me. And then they was talking about, the new claims that they found out. But for him to stalk these girls is crazy. That's
Yeah, it's just
crazy.
wild. And I still wonder what else is going on there because I I have a problem with one person doing all that. I have a problem with one person seeing him and not calling anyone. The whole thing is weird to me.
So wait a minute. So somebody already knew about him stalking them, and they never
The
called the police.
the downstairs roommate saw him in the house.
Oh, oh. So the
Yes. And
so
she never called police. And if she won't testify, they're gonna have to force her to testify. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm waiting. I guarantee there's some bombshell in there somewhere. I don't know what it could be. I just definitely think that how did all that happen? How did he do all that by himself and get in and get out with nobody, you know? And
BTK did that.
Xana was awake. What?
BTK did that.
In and
Wow.
out.
His first murder was 4.
Okay. And I guess, it's like O.J. Simpson. I always thought there was someone with him, but I guess maybe you can kill 2 people at one time.
Wow.
Ted
I just
Bundy
never
also. Yeah, Julie just pointed that out because Chi Omega.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild though.
But that's crazy, Jen. That's crazy that the roommate knew this information and never gave it to the police. That's crazy.
Yeah, they didn't call. I think they called. If I remember correctly, it was like 9 or 12 hours before they called 911. And I know college students, and I know all that, and I don't know if maybe fear, like just frozen in fear. I don't know. I don't know, but it's the trial that's probably going to be one really good trial. Hopefully, we'll get to see it. I'm afraid they're gonna,
Yeah.
not air it, but I hope they do. That's one
But
of those I'd like to go to.
oh, you would like to go to that trial, Jen?
Yeah, I went to the Alec Murdaugh trial, and it was the most exciting thing I've ever done.
Hey, that case was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, Jen, let me ask you: Do you really think he? You really think he like how the way they said it that he did that to his family? Like the way they said?
Okay, I think this is the deal. I think that he loved his family. I think I think he loved drugs and money more. And I think that even if there was someone else there, but again, with the lies, right? So he says, I wasn't there, I wasn't there, I wasn't there. Then during the trial, we find out that he was there and he lied. So that goes back to to Scott Peterson.
Yeah.
You were there and you lied. So all your credibility is gone. You lied, you were there, you did it. Even if he didn't do it and someone else did it and he was still there, he didn't tell anybody someone else did it. So he did it.
Wow.
But I don't think, I know that I don't think that Alec Murdaugh is like Scott Peterson though. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe minus the drugs, he would have been a different person.
Yeah, because I when I followed that case and I looked at that whole case, is like a lot of things just didn't make any sense to me. Like he had blood on his shirt.
Yeah.
That they found the gun and the dog cage, and it was like a lot
And
of
he
stuff was
shot
going on.
them. He shot them with 2 different guns. Like he knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
2 different guns. He shot them with 2 different guns. And Paul knew he'd been shot by his dad because the first shot didn't kill him.
Yeah.
It's awful. Awful. But that's what money and privilege and entitlement does. All of that. Because each one of those people potentially killed someone. The maid, Stephen Smith, Paul, and Mags. I mean, they all potentially killed someone.
Hey, Jen.
Yeah.
In the chat, it says regarding Murdaugh, do you know Crime and Cask on TikTok?
Yes. Yes. One of our friends went live the other night with her, and I forgot to watch it. Was it good? I can't see the comments. Because I went
missed a
back
whole
and
bunch of comments towards you.
Do what? Oh.
You missed a whole bunch of comments towards you.
Oh, well, where read them. Let's see.
Going back to Karen Reed, I think the ex-officer indicted in the murder of Sandra Birchmore in same area, maybe precinct as O'Keefe. Then the Turtle Boy stuff really made me think at first that she did it, but the trial was a circus full of liars. Karen had kissed one of them.
Amen. That's why I was like, Turtle Boy needs to go sit down. But after everything I saw, I was like, yep, he was right.
Oh, she said, I don't know if Alec did it, but I do think he's gotten rid of people for years.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing, like, if you can convince me that he didn't, like, what is the reason he didn't do it? Because he lied and said he wasn't there and he was there. Like, the last thing anyone saw was Alec Murdoch in the kennel on his Snapchat.
She said, Crime and Cask is a man. He's written a book and claims Murdaugh is innocent of those crimes.
Oh, Lord. I'm so glad I didn't watch it then. I mean, innocent of which crimes? The murders or all the financial stuff? And I personally think that it's possible that Stephen Smith wasn't after Buster, but after Alec Murdoch, because he told his mom that he was dating a prominent man in society. Well, Buster's not prominent. Alec is prominent. Or his brother. And his brother, Alec's brother, I think it was John, maybe. Total loved the attention. And when I tell you he smiled and said hi to me every single 5 minutes, it was weird. Like every single time we get up from the courthouse, it was weird. Weird vibe.
I'm looking up I'm putting notes so I can.
I'm gonna have to go to Crime and Cask because she was, the girl that is on TikTok that's from Atlanta.
716 girl.
He thinks that is the BF of the girl that no, no. Anthony, no. I have actually been on that property as well. I went to Moselle prior to the trial, and Anthony did not kill anybody. I don't believe that. I'm gonna have to go seek out Crime and Cask. Might have to have an argument with him. Did Crime and Cask go to the trial? I'm assuming they did. That's where I met my idol, Nancy Grace.
Don't get me started.
Right.
Nancy Grace is funny.
I love Nancy Grace. Yeah, we might need to head on over to TikTok one night with Crime and Cask.
Sounds like some drama I can be okay with.
Yeah. Because I'll die on this hill. This is the hill I'm dying on. For sure.
All right. I'll back you up.
Yeah. I mean, even the Judge Newman, when that day that he was sentencing him, and he said, you say it's not you, but maybe it's the drugs that made you a monster. I mean, I think he liked money more than anything, and power and prestige and all that stuff. They took his dad's painting off the wall during his trial. I mean, he ruined his entire family name. And I don't know if you guys have heard Buster and his dad and their conversations. I mean, Buster's like, yeah, okay, It's a weird relationship.
I haven't heard it.
No, I don't think I have either.
That was one trial I wasn't super interested in. But my daughter was, because she lives in Beaufort. And so she was like, I'm so ready for this to be done. I'm so tired of it being on the news.
That's a lot of the locals were saying that as well.
Yeah, just over it.
Buster's done with him. Yeah, he is. I mean, you can tell.
I would be too, though. But that's one of those things that, you know, you commit a crime like that, and you've got more victims than just the actual victim. You commit really any kind of crime, like these people who are pedophiles and stuff like that. They ruin their family names too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But honestly, pedophilia is really more acceptable than murder.
Sad.
That is so true, Jen. That is so true.
I mean, it's all hidden. Nobody talks about it. No, that didn't happen to me. When really it's happening to like half the country.
Hey, can I tell you something, Jen?
Yeah,
My cousin was locked up with a guy that's basically he had a case where he touched a child, and the judge gave him 3 years in
yeah,
prison.
yeah,
I was like, that's crazy.
yeah. And I a lot of the reasons why we have prisoners is because of it.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, kids are not born bad. They're taught bad.
Yep.
So, there's a lot of people in prison, and that's a whole nother conversation. But they need therapy. Everybody needs therapy.
I think a lot of times, I think that the system neglects these type of people, and they just throw them out to the world, and then when they
Hmm.
become a certain age and they get into their teens, late teens, into their 20s, they become hardened criminals, violent, hardened criminals, and they either harm other children or they harm others. So, and it comes from that. If we start fixing these people early, taking them therapy, a lot of these problems could get corrected.
Absolutely, absolutely, and the parents that are repeating this behavior, it only happened to them. Again, people are not born bad, they're taught bad. So abuse of any kind is going to change the outlook of your future if you do not get help. It's like any other disease. If you continue to drink and you're alcoholic, it's going to kill you.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's so true. I just feel that in society, I always tell people, um, a lot of people come from broken environments,
Hmm.
not a broken home.
Yeah.
So a lot of times you're taught bad just because of your environment. And I think if people
Yep.
basically would take the time out and help children while they're young, like you said, we wouldn't have a lot of bad people. We'll have a lot of good people because a lot of these people are good people, but it's just they lack love, compassion, and empathy, and people that had just genuine conversations with them. If you talk to a person that is a hardened criminal, the conversations is they just never had love as a child,
Yeah.
and they just didn't
Yep.
have friends that were, real friends. They just had people that just treat them any type of way and use them. So when you're
Hmm.
used and abused and thrown out to people, the world can eat you up. The world is really an ugly,
Absolutely.
dark place, and a lot of times if you just don't have that protection system and you don't have that support system, you can become a statistic of the world. So
Hmm.
I
Yep.
always tell people, help people. When you see a person down or you see a person going through certain things, a lot of those people don't want to be bad. A lot of these people don't want to kill people. It's just they're coming from broken communities that basically just are no love and no compassion there. So what they're going to, follow is what they see in the world. So they become hard and they become ruthless. They become cold and callous, and they really just want to be hugged and loved.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep.
Yeah, there's so many similarities between a lot of them, and it's mainly their childhoods or mental health or drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that is so true because drugs is really a numbing system for people. Alcohol
Yeah.
is a
Yeah.
numbing system.
Yeah.
You're numbing your pain away with alcohol and drugs. And that's why we have a problem in this country with alcoholism, with drug addiction, because a lot of times people are chasing the pain so they can at least have the numbness go away so they can be down in a state.
Mm-hmm.
A majority of most military people, and I have this because I had a cousin that my cousin, he fought in Vietnam, and he got a bad, terrible alcohol problem because what he saw was young babies blowing up things and people shooting at them from out of nowhere and friends getting kidnapped by these Viet Congs. And those things torment people. You have PTSD. And when you have post traumatic stress, you cannot take it away, and the doctors are not seeing you. The VA is denying you, and the people in the country is just denying you. These guys, they turn to drugs and they become homeless. If you look at homelessness, look at a lot of these guys that are homeless. These guys, you got people that work on Wall Street that are homeless guys that basically they had it all and then they lost it, and now they're going through what takes the pain away of thinking about that is numbing itself with drugs, hard drugs like heroin. And you go to Kensington and Philadelphia, you see these guys shooting up heroin, and these guys had great things, had a great successful life, and they just went to drugs because they went through so much stress and so much fake people. And this is why I say we have to, as a people and as a country, we have to treat these people better than what we're treating them. We have to help this systemic problem. A lot of people have money for jails and prison, but prison is not changing these people. Prison is making these people more hardened and more smarter criminals. They're not rehabilitating these guys. These guys are coming back out here still doing the same thing again and again. We have to find something to rehabilitate people so people can come back to society to have something and not to be left there and thrown to the side. It's like, okay, we're releasing you from jail, so you just go out there. You can't get a job. You can't do anything that you want to do when you were a regular citizen. You were able to do. Now you're like a statistic. So it's either you indulge in drugs, become homeless, or you go back to committing crimes.
No, I totally agree with that. And the system itself relies heavily on nonprofits to do the job for them when people get out. And there's housing issues, there's mental health accessibility issues, regular health accessibility issues. There's all kinds of things that are going wrong with these reentry programs that are having to kind of pick up the slack, where the system, we've got a for-profit prison system. They don't care
Yeah.
about people. They care about those numbers.
Yeah, that is so true, Amy, because when you really look at it, the corporations run these prisons. A lot of people don't understand that big corporations are in these prisons. So the prisons are like factories. These guys are working pennies for your biggest clothing brands. Like we're talking about in New York State prisons, guys are working for Puma. They're creating designs for Puma. They're Bath and Beyond. Whatever corporation you think is not having these prisons work, these guys are working for these people over pennies, dimes and nickels. And these guys are not getting the profit that these corporations are getting. They're getting cheap labor. So it's just like a sweatshop in China or Indonesia. They have a sweatshop in these American prisons. That's sad right there, because
Oh yeah.
you're supposed to help these people re-enter in society, not to have them work for you, and then when they come into society, you don't have anything for them, no type of good jobs. So you don't have any type of good jobs, no type of housing. A lot of them go into halfway houses, and then when they leave the halfway house, their families really don't want anything to do with them. So they got to go into the shelter. So it's guys that's going into the shelter and they're thinking that the shelter's helping them, but now they're going through another prison because now they're dealing with people in there fighting over a bed space, and dudes are cutting each other, stabbing each other, killing each other just for a bed space. So they really failed a lot of these people, and they keep failing these people. They're failing the military men, they're failing the men that are in prison. So it's like what the government has to do better. They have to do better.
Right, but then they don't get the money. They don't get all of those. They don't get to control people the way they want to, and it's it's gross. But and honestly, one of the things that I think gets overlooked is talk about the school to prison pipeline, and how many
Yeah,
kids get brushed aside, how many kids don't get taken seriously when they have these problems, and I when I was in law school, I was volunteering as a special advocate, and there was a kid that was 15 on my caseload who was facing 2 life sentences, and that gutted me. It gutted me because honestly, I went through and I was investigating everything and I looked at it and I was like, "No, he's innocent." Like, he's innocent, and he has nobody who's, like, going to bat for him. But then you have another kid who's got, like, attempted murder victims and rape victims and all of these things, and it's like, "Oh, you're holding his hand. You're just brushing that aside." And I'm like, "No, you know what they're doing? They're creating the future prisoner with him." And it's gross.
yeah, it is. It's extremely gross. It's like they don't care. They don't care, and like you said, it's Amy. It starts in the schools. It starts in the schools, and they can help these kids. They can get programs for these kids, nonprofit programs. They can get things to keep them away from these gangs, to keep them from crime. They can really stop these things, but they choose not to because they're making money in these prisons. They're making big money. It's a $1 billion business, and they're not going to stop their business for trying to make the world a better place by having people civilize themselves. They just don't want that. They want these guys to keep going in there because it's good for them. It's great business for them. They're making money off of this, the cheap
Yeah.
labor, you know?
Well, and let's talk about the fact that, I had there's the way they I guess the saying goes that they'll parole people that they think are coming back. And I fully believe that. I
Yeah.
fully believe that they pick the most problematic people sometimes and parole them because they know that those are the people that are going to come back.
Yeah, they
But you've
know
got
one thing, Amy, like what you said, sorry for cutting you off. What you're
oh, go
saying
ahead.
is so true. Is that a lot of times they know the guy is going to come back in the prison. So that's why they give them parole. So when they come up and they catch another case, that now they can throw the book on them and give them 12 to life or give them 20 to life because now we know you're going to come back. We know you're a 3-time loser. You're a repeat offender. We're going to make sure when you come back this time, we're going to give you another life sentence.
Oh yeah, and it's sad. Um, you've got the parole board who acts as quasi judge and jury anyhow. You're completely outside of the adversarial process. You're not guaranteed an attorney for that. So you're meeting up with these people who have the ability to say whether you stay, whether you go. You can stay and they can give you extra time because you did X, Y, and Z. And you're not even having to go through like the normal court process. They just get to do it.
That's so true. That is so true. That is so true. And that's very sad, because I really think that people should really, really look at these things and say to themselves, like, this is designed, to really destroy people mentally and physically and spiritually. But I just always tell people we have to really push through it and really get programs in there to solve these problems because it's becoming worse of problems now, and people are getting young. I just watched a case with a 10-year-old that shot the guy. He was the mayor of this city, this town in Louisiana, and he killed the guy's daughter. And to hear a 10-year-old and they're charging him with murder, what was the reason for this 10-year-old to shoot this man? And then I'm hearing this case in Georgia just today that the school shooting, it was a 14-year-old.
Did
So
you see the FBI's statement about him?
yeah, that was crazy. That
Because
was
I
crazy.
don't Jen, did you see it yet? Did she fall asleep on us? She usually
No,
goes to bed at
no, I
7:30.
have not. I have not.
So the FBI released a statement saying that basically they, in May of 2023, they had received some tips about a potential school shooting with pictures of guns and stuff like that.
I
And
did hear
that,
that.
and I'm like, so
It's
again,
the
we
same
have,
kid. It's the same kid.
it's the same kid, but they said they went to the dad and the dad was like, oh, he doesn't have unrestricted access to the guns. Well, whose gun to use?
Right.
Because
And
that's going to come
14 years
out, you
old.
know?
14 years old. 14. But I was just I was just getting some text messages from someone sent me from some people in that area, and they're saying that, and my niece also is like a gym over there, like a cheerleading gym, and she told us that she heard there were 5 shooters and that 3 or 2 got away. So I don't know what's going on there, but I just heard that same story again from a source.
That's
So
Wow.
crazy.
I don't know what's going on over there. I don't know. Apparently they had a hit list.
But hey, Jen, you know what I was told, that it was another shooter, not just the shooter that they caught, the 14-year-old, that they saying that it was another shooter. But when I looked at the news, it was just the one shooter. They didn't they
Yeah,
didn't find any other
that's
shooters.
yeah, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. I have no idea. I'm just repeating the gossip. I really don't know. I don't know. I don't know why would a 14-year-old need to pick up a gun and shoot people at school? Why?
Yeah, I just don't understand that either.
I don't get it. I do not get it. And unless there's a problem going on there, which very well could be, because he shot the coach point blank in the face.
Wow.
Mhm.
So I
That
don't,
seems personal.
it's I don't know. I'm trying to reserve my thoughts and feeling. I do know that it's horrifically sad for the other students there and the other teachers. I can't imagine.
I can't either. Last year, um, in at Kennesaw State University, my then 17-year-old kid was there for her Chinese class for high school, and the alert had gone out that there were armed people on campus, and I got a phone call from my daughter telling me that she was in an open area, that nobody was letting her into a room or anything. She was scared to death. She was in the room. She was in a room where she could actually see them in the building next to her. It was, I mean, that to me was so terrifying because I'm sitting there going through it. And luckily my kid came home
Right,
and
right.
there was no shooting at all on campus that day. But I can't imagine what it feels like for those parents. And I can't imagine what it's going to feel like tomorrow when you start having all of those people go, um, crisis actors,
Oh,
and
right,
start
yeah.
diminishing like the violence that happened.
Mhm. High says kids are not taught about trauma and they don't know what they're experiencing until it's too late, and that is a fact. That is a fact because I mean all of us are above the age of 30, I guess, maybe not Andrew, but once you get to be 50, you look back on it, you're like, holy cow! Like I had so much trauma, I didn't even know it, and these kids are just acting out. Unless again, like there could be something else going on there. I don't know. I mean, what if the coach is abusive? I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying, like, what if something else is going on there?
It happens.
Hmm.
I
Yep.
think a lot of times, a lot of these shootings, I noticed with school shootings, it has a lot to do with bullying
Mm-hmm.
and what people are doing to people in their home life.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do feel like even with this case, I don't know what the young man, why the young man shot the gym teacher, but to shoot a gym teacher in the face, it was something that happened that made this 14-year-old shoot this gym teacher in the face.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
just don't shoot a gym teacher in the
Right.
face and do a shooting and shoot 9 people. 4 people died. I think another teacher died,
Yep.
and 9 people are injured. Like that's personal.
Yeah. Yeah. Anger. And that 14-year-old, hormonal testosterone, all that stuff going on. I mean, I'm obviously not making excuses for him, but I do want to hear what's going on. 14 is young. Is young to just throw your entire life away for that.
And it happens. And unfortunately, you know, he now they're going to make the decision of whether to try him as an adult, try him as a
Mhm.
kid. You
Mm.
get tried as a kid here in Georgia. He would stay in until he maxed out at 21. But if he's tried as an adult, then he will stay in juvenile until his excuse me, his 18th birthday. And they literally will come pick him up and take him to big boy prison.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and I feel like we don't spend enough time on these kids. They're I mean, and I know that sure school shootings have been happening for centuries or whatever, but it's like, where did this go wrong? What happened? And how do we fix it? And how do we change it? And how do we pay more attention?
It's
We should,
too common now, Jen. It's
yeah,
very too much
yeah,
common now. Like the biggest school shooting was Columbine. And then other school shootings after that. Even colleges, Virginia Tech and stuff. But it's getting awfully too common that every year is a school shooting. It's not like a school shooting happened once. It's happening every year, every couple of years now. It's a school shooting, and especially a high school, a junior high, elementary, a college. It's just happening very every year. It's a school shooting. Like recent since I would say since Sandy Hook, it's just been going back and forth, back and forth.
It
it
is,
really
and it
has.
is sad.
Yeah. You
My
know, when I, Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say when I was a freshman in college, so I was 18 years old. There was a school shooting at my high school. That was in 1991.
Was that here in Georgia?
Yeah, Forsyth County. They were making fun of him, or he had like epilepsy or something, so they would like turn the lights on and off. And so I guess he thought he was gonna come to school the next day and show them.
Jeez.
Yeah. And it's all
Well,
wrong. You know what I'm saying? Every bit of it's wrong. So
yeah. Well, I was going to say that my youngest is 10, and he was homeschooled up until fourth grade. And then he decided that he wanted to go to school. And I said that was fine. We'll figure, out which one we want to go to. We ended up putting him in a small charter school just to kind of get him acclimated. He's like me. He doesn't like people very much, but he it was really sad though, because we had to talk about the fact that he was terrified of school shootings. He was terrified of the fact that, he was going to have to do drills to prepare, things like that. And he asked me if I had to do those things. And I said, I had to do tornado drills, you know,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that was fire drills. I didn't have to do those other things. And it's sad that that's the world that they have to live in.
And what is the
Yeah.
answer?
It,
You
it,
know, what's the answer?
I don't know.
Sad. It really is.
I
It
mean,
is.
it's very sad, and like I've been looking like the politicians are saying, especially the Republican politicians, that maybe arming the teachers with guns will solve the problem. But I don't think that'll solve the problem, giving them guns.
Um, I have a special key for my classroom. So if anything happens, like I can shut my door and nobody can just like shoot through my door, and you can't just get into my lock and stuff like that. And my my one of my older sons, he goes, "Oh," he goes, "that's the don't get murdered key." So it's been called that ever since because I have the special lock and doors. And I was like, it's really sad that that's that's what it is.
Yeah, that's sad. That's pretty sad. I just wish that we can do better in this country. With the violence, but it's just the climate we're in. And always during an election time, these type of things happen. And I just hope that these kids can have somewhere safe to go, because parents are going to get tired of taking their kids to school and gotta, duck from guns, because you never know. It's like you may have to homeschool your children, because if they keep this up and they're not solving this problem, this is going to be a problem that is going to make parents not have their kids say, no, we're not you're not going to school. We're going to basically homeschool you because it's too violent.
Yeah. Yeah, over in the comments, Julie said in 2008 there were 18 school shootings. 2023 there were 82.
82,
July
yes.
this July this year we were at 35. I think it's so sad. The drills are double edged because the shooter is usually involved in those drills too.
That's what I'm saying, Amy. Is that's crazy to have 82 school shootings in 2023 and 35 this year.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Hey y'all, I just got sent the video from inside the classroom.
Oh God.
Yeah. Yep.
Bad, huh?
Yeah, it's yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Hmm. I just can't. Somebody posted on their damn Instagram. It's posted on somebody's
Ew.
Instagram.
Wow.
12,000 shares, 651,000 likes.
So I want to add in something here that I think is a huge contributing factor. And y'all can disagree with me if you want. But I think one of the problems is that, you've got people who still teach their little boys that, it's not acceptable to feel like certain things. Like you can't cry, you can't be sad, you can't, have those feelings. But having rage is okay because boys will be boys, things like that. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do is I've been trying to participate in things with like men's mental health and stuff so that I can be a better boy mom and be a better boy lolly. I'm too young to be grandma, but
Yeah.
but I think that's part of it because you rarely see girls that are doing this.
Yeah. You know something, Amy? I think it's because of the society in America when it comes to like it's like I used to like watching The Sopranos, and like Tony was this hardened criminal that went to a therapist, right? And he would tell the therapist all the things that he was going through, right? And people made fun of him for that, right? Because it looks crazy for a gangster to just go sit with a therapist and tells his whole life stories of what he's going on in the world. But it just shows you that you don't know what people are going through. So to sit down with a shrink, it's nothing wrong with that. It don't make you crazy. It just makes you feel that you have a lot of a lot of packaging to unwrap. So you have things from childhood that may affect you. You have things from teenage years that may affect you, and you have things from adulthood that may affect you. And if you don't know how to to release a lot of those emotions, it's going to bottle inside you, and you're going to become manic depressive, and you're going to go crazy and take it out on others. So before you become very manic, or before you become have post-traumatic stress order, you have to check those things before those things become out of control. A lot of times, a lot of people don't check those things, so they have it bottled inside until they just unleash on the world, and then you get things like this, or you get somebody that just goes around and kills 50 people, and they ask them, "What made you? What ticked you off to kill 50 people?" Well, as a child, I was abused. As a child, I was sexually abused. As a child, my father smacked me around, or people teased me. These things are bottled inside a person. So before a person snap and do those things, you check those things in order to correct your wrongs, so you don't have to have a lot of guilt. Because a lot of people walk around with guilt, and they're guilt tripped.
I totally agree with that. But how do we do
Yeah.
better and how do we be better?
I feel that a lot of people, I think people should open up to people more. I think a lot of people should have conversations with people that may be going through certain things. I will admit, therapy is the best thing for anybody. I think a lot of people need it because we all go through our stresses of the world, because the world is very rough, and a lot of times when people, especially a child, you're going from childhood to adulthood. So once you enter into adulthood and you start seeing that you have a lot of things you have to do as an adult, pay bills, go to work, strive to be successful, those things, if you wasn't handling those things before, now you're out here in the world, and you living on your own, and you're doing things that really, you're not established in life. You don't have any children. You don't have nothing. You don't even have a wife. So you're just going through the ills of the world to take care of family. It's just like when kids come from single mothers. You may have siblings, and you have to take care of the whole family, and you being that you're only child, and your mother's relying on you to take care of the whole family, that weighs on you.
Yeah, I can't imagine. But yeah, you're right. A lot of
Yeah,
kids are put kind of in a pseudo adulthood.
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of times, a lot of people have survival. It's about survival with a lot of parents. And when it comes to their children, they don't understand a child's dreams. They understand that it's all about survival, and that's what society puts on people, is to have a survivalist mindset. It's not to have a mindset where you're basically just looking at the world from a different type of bleak view. It's about, well, I have to survive. I have bills to pay. I have to keep my head above water, and I have to, live my life day by day through a check. So I'm surviving to stay alive and stay afloat. And that's what it is with a lot of people. And if people really take the time and look at a person and say, you know what, I believe in you, I believe in your dreams, you know, a lot of people won't turn to the things they do. Because when you talk to a lot of children, they do have dreams, but people shoot their dreams down a lot of times. And when you shoot a person's dreams down, they rebel against everything else.
Oh yeah. Kind of like telling your kid not to date a certain person makes them want to do it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to ensure they do date and get married.
True.
You're not wrong. That going back to that, that's one of the reasons why Gypsy Rose always drives me crazy, claiming that she wasn't in on her mom's grift. Because it's like, if I would have told my kid, "You sit still," guess what? They would have moved.
Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah,
And
that.
she knew she could walk. I mean, she knew she could walk. Come on now.
Yeah. Hey, but Jen, you know something about like when I looked at Gypsy Rose case and I watched like her 2020 interview, her A&E special, her HBO special, and like the mom is not perfect either, and she's not innocent because
No.
to have your child, to pimp your child out to basically to keep funds in the house to make her be sick is wrong. That is wrong on so many levels. When you know that your daughter was not sick, to shave her head, to make her lose weight, to be in a wheelchair, that's wrong on so many levels. And parents like that are wrong. And this is why when these children start rebelling against the parent and they have so much like animosity towards the parent, that right there causes a child to just snap and kill the parent. That was not right at all that she did that to that young lady, because she lied to the whole world and they got benefits because of that. They got a house built for them. They had a lot of things. They got money. People donated to these people. So they used a lot of people that really thought this was a girl that was dying.
Well, there's new evidence out there that says that Gypsy Rose was sick. Now, I
Oh,
don't know how much, and Amy or Andrew can help me on this. I don't know how much of it's true or, what's not true, but I have heard that that she actually did have medical issues and she only had 4 surgeries. So I don't know. Amy, help me on that.
Okay, so there was something in one of her files where it showed that she had a chromosome disorder that um, basically caused the things that she was having treatments for. And so now there's like a divide on whether or not it was actual like medical child abuse or not. I would say that she's still not perfect, even if Gypsy Rose did not have any medical child abuse at all, because she's still conning people. They were still taking things from Habitat for
Yeah.
Humanity and other, organizations, Make a Wish, all those things. And, you know, they were lying to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember when I was younger, my dad used to always say, there's always someone out there that's worse off than you. And it
Yeah.
kept me from like asking for help a lot of times when I needed it. But her parents definitely did not seem to teach Dee Dee that.
No. No.
Like my dad
And
also said, nothing good ever comes from ill-gotten gain.
right. Yep. And it's again, why do we have so much sympathy for Gypsy Rose, but we don't have that same energy for the Menendezes? Like, why? I mean, what made Gypsy's story blow up the way it did?
Her
The
wheelchair and stuff
narrative,
like that.
the
I think
Yeah.
it was.
narrative they
I think it
pushed
was
out.
basically. I think it was basically the abuse, Jane. I think it was her story with the mother abusing her and telling her to fake a sickness, and just like Amy said, the wheelchair and a lot of other things. But I think that's why, and I think with the Menendez brothers what really made people, I think, not like and want to like back them is because I would say when their parents died, they used the money. So that's
Yeah,
what really,
that's 100%. I 100% agree with you. If they
yeah,
had not done that, that would be different because the jury and public saw them as spoiled. What they
yeah,
actually were caged.
yeah, yeah. That's true. That's
They
true.
were caged. So when mom and dad were gone, they could live. I
Yeah,
mean, And looking back on it, because obviously I think I thought they were spoiled. I didn't understand all of it, but I always felt like you don't just kill your parents. What else is going on there?
Yeah.
But look at Gypsy Rose too. She also got publicity from those organizations and stuff like that, which made her story more widespread in general. And it was easier, like when all this first happened, to go and Google her and be like, oh, they Habitat for Humanity, oh, they went to Disney. Oh, this poor girl, all of that stuff. A lot of it had to do with that kind of thing. And then you've got the Menendez brothers, and it's like they killed their parents, they spend the money. They're obviously bad.
Yeah.
Media plays a huge part in how we think.
Yep. Absolutely. They have complete control over us. Without getting into conspiracy theory of things, they are in complete control of us. So
I agree. They teach us a
that's
lot
why
of bad
I have
behaviors.
learned. I've learned to. I'm not in every case. I do like a little vigilante justice, but I've learned that you don't know shit. You're gonna have to wait till it plays out because you don't know shit.
Yeah. I think a lot
Even
of
then, you might not
times,
know.
even Jen, and this is the thing, like Amy and Jen, like vigilante justice doesn't even really work because a lot of times you don't have the facts to a lot of things. You may not know if
Right.
they're
Right.
innocent or guilty of these things because we're just going off what the media says. And a lot of times it can be one sided and it could be both sides, and like as we could see, like even a perfect example, the Casey Anthony case, right? That's that case right there. When I watched both documentaries, the one on Peacock and the one that he did on A&E, like she's pointing fingers at her father, saying that her father has something to do with her daughter's death. So you don't know with these cases.
Yeah, I mean, and I go with my gut. I go with my gut. I think as far as Casey Anthony goes, that girl she's gonna pay one day.
True.
I don't believe the dad had anything to do with it. I
I
think
don't
Either way it
believe that
goes,
either.
she is a master manipulator.
just remember that legal innocence and actual innocence are not always simultaneous or synonymous,
Yeah,
rather.
yeah, yeah. There's something. It's like with Scott Peterson. I just don't like them. Susan Smith is another one. If you remember Susan Smith,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know
she
Susan
drove.
Smith.
Remember
Yeah.
her? I despise her,
Yeah, that's the
and I
one
don't know
in
why.
South Carolina, right? Jen, if I'm
Yeah, it
not
was.
mistaken.
Yes,
She
yeah,
said
it
her
Oh,
was.
yeah.
her kids got killed by black
Yes,
guys. I,
yes,
I know what you're
yes,
talking about. Yeah.
yes. I absolutely
She's
despise
up for
her.
parole this year.
Yeah, she's
She
not gonna get
escaped
it.
it. How many times did she escape from the prison again? Like it was like five, six times. Like one time
I
she
don't know.
had like a sexual. She had a sexual affair with the guard,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
gave her the
yeah,
keys.
yeah. But I don't think she tried to escape. I think she's just having an affair or having whatever relations.
Oh, okay.
She's another one. She's just a gross person,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and then there's some like like a Wayne Williams, who I don't think is guilty, and who is like the grandpa.
Hmm.
He really is. He's like a grandpa. He's like
She
so
she talked to him one time and she's like, that was not what I expected.
not at all, not at all. And now it's like it's just cool, like but it's just it's like it's just what they tell us, what they want us to know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true. That's so.
So I use part instinct, and I listen to the facts of what and decide from there.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true. That is true. That Susan Smith case is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Like she literally lied and she killed her own kids. It didn't care. She could have got. She almost got away with that lie.
I
That's the
know,
crazy.
I know, I know. And she could have just divorced her husband and let her husband have the kids.
Yes. Yes.
What would have been wrong with
Yes.
that? I
Oh
mean,
no, you got to pay child support. It's that or prison.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's just it's crazy. And their names are Alex and Michael. And my nephew was born like a couple years later, and his name was Alex Michael. So
Wow.
I always think about those boys and how they were strapped in their car seats. You know, while she let go the emergency brake and walked off. They should have killed her.
But she's
Right.
up for parole.
Yeah, they should have killed her. And this is why I believe in the death penalty. She's the reason I believe in it. Nope. She's disgusting. Anybody that could do that is disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very disgusting. That's very disgusting. Um, I just think that when anybody that could just concoct a story like that and wake up and just say that this happened and it didn't, like you're a heartless person.
Yeah.
You're a heartless human
Yeah.
being. You know, because somebody could have if the really if they didn't do the investigation that they did and found that she was guilty of that, somebody innocent would have been in prison
Absolutely.
right now and would have been
Absolutely.
executed.
Absolutely. And
One-
she used racial, tensions
Yeah.
to stir up stuff. It's I hate her. I swear I wasn't going to say I hate anybody. I cannot stand her. Like, no, she does not deserve to breathe the same air as anyone else.
No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That's wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
That's wrong on so many levels. You know, and she may get freed, and if she do, I'm
Yeah.
like you. She's gonna get a karma.
Yeah. She's going to. And Casey Anthony will too. OJ
She
Simpson
got away
probably
with it.
get.
I
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
believe that she should have never got away with that. Like her daughter was the way her daughter died was wrong on so many levels, and then to do a documentary and say that my father was the one that accused the
Hmm.
father for something that she did is it's crazy. I
Yeah.
just don't understand how she beat that case, but hey, it is what it is.
I mean, I think really she had a great lawyer, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
So
He definitely was.
yeah, and it's all really a game. So it's just who can play better chess. That's all
yeah.
trials are.
She just wanted, and I'm gonna be honest, she didn't want her kids. She didn't want her daughter. She wanted to continue to party.
Right. Yeah.
She wanted to
Yeah.
continue
Yeah.
to live a single
Yeah.
life. You could tell that's what she wanted, a single life and a party.
Mhm.
She
Mhm.
still goes and parties. She's still doing the same thing. She didn't want to take the responsibility to be a mother to her child.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're exactly right. I don't think she wanted a kid.
No, and it's
So,
proven by her behavior.
yeah.
She showed no remorse. She was happy that she's able to live her life. She went on about her life. She's still doing the same thing that she was doing when she had
Mhm.
a child, partying and drinking. She just didn't want the baby. It
Right.
was a burden to her.
Yeah.
She's
Which
just
is
another
wrong.
teen mom, giving the rest of
Yeah,
us a bad name.
yeah,
But
yeah,
she could have easily given that. I mean, she could have given custody over to her parents or
Sure.
adoption
yeah,
or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's the thing, is that you've got a lot of people who don't necessarily think like that. I was 14 when I got pregnant with my oldest. My oldest is now 33. My youngest is 10. And, back then, I mean, I know that it's further back, but back then, you know, I was told that I needed to get married so that an honest woman was being made of me. I was taken to a lawyer's office and they tried to force me or his mom tried to force me to put the baby up for adoption.
Wow.
Things like that. So you've got people who are influencing like the way you think about certain things.
Mhm.
And and I'll say honestly, I think here, particularly in the South, that there is the whole, make the honest woman out of you,
Yeah.
raise your baby thing, and you know, consequences be damned.
That's true.
Right.
That's so true. And
Yeah, I don't know. I think you should have to take a mental evaluation before you become a parent.
I agree.
I would not have passed at 14.
Right. And I'm not saying we should just kill all the babies. That's not what I'm saying. I just think that I they're broken people having kids is not good. It's not good for the environment.
But everybody's a little broken too.
I know. I mean, I get that
I think
too.
a
I'm
lot
not.
of it has to do
Yeah,
with your self-awareness though.
yeah,
And, you knowing like where you're broken and things like
yeah,
that. But I
yeah.
can tell you at 14, I certainly didn't know where I was broken. And,
No,
I certainly would not have known how to even begin fixing it.
right. Probably didn't even know you were broken.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I think I just figured it out like two years ago. So, yeah. I mean,
I mean, it's true, but that's the thing is that I think that we get into a place in our lives at some point where we become more comfortable with that, introspective part of ourselves where we start, looking at things and figuring out like, how do we get here?
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
Like I'm killing my 40s because I've done nothing but, self-reflection for the past
yeah,
like 8 years.
yeah. And how can we spread that to these kids so that they know they don't have to conform to what you know what I'm saying? Like just do you. Be happy because you're not in the end that's all you're gonna have.
But see,
And we
the
don't
thing of it
we
is
don't
it's kind of like, we were talking about the whole recidivism thing the other day, right? And I was
mhm.
talking about how like the recidivism, in my opinion, the prison system's not going to do it, for you. And I was telling Jen that my opinion on recidivism is, first of all, you got to start with the people who are on the outside and keep them, in some way, shape, or form from going in. And that's one of the reasons why, I was telling you when you were on with us a couple of weeks ago that I
mm,
started doing the Know Your Rights part of Pete's podcast. And I started doing that because he's, real big on prison reform and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to be able to reach people and say, here are some things that you should know to help protect yourself. And hopefully it'll help, people to cut down on some of those things. But education's a large part of it. When you have, with like the pregnancy and stuff like that, you don't have, when you have this abstinence only bullshit. I mean, that's exactly what it is. You're not teaching people how to be safe. You're not teaching them how to prevent things. You're teaching them how to, I mean, you're literally telling them to go do it when you're saying, don't do it.
Right.
But, again, outside of that, though, like with recidivism, outside of that, you've got to do something on the inside. And it's got to be with the people who are coming back out. And you've got to do something to help get them prepared. You've got to help, do things like if it's about finding your niche and finding, that place that you belong, and it's about having the right support. With the right support you can do anything,
Absolutely.
but it's just about
And with
having
the
those right people.
and the right support can build your self-esteem. So
100%.
that you know what I'm saying, like the people you have around you, can elevate you. Like you don't have to do it this way. You don't have to, you don't have to get married. You don't have to have kids. You don't have to stay at home or not stay at home or just I don't know.
Yeah, but it's about figuring that stuff out. Also, when you
Mhm.
start looking at teen pregnancy and stuff like that, look at how much that plays into, prison, poverty,
Yeah.
lack of
Absolutely.
education, things like
Yeah.
that. It, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I think the problem is that the people society doesn't know how to help out these teen mothers. They don't give them any options, and just like what you said with the young men, they just don't give these people options. They just neglect and turn them away, and that's not good, because once you do that, people back against the wall, they'll do anything.
I agree. Well, and I've said a lot of times, honestly, like everybody's told me they're like, "Oh my gosh, you should tell your story. You should tell your story." But I've kind of like held off on ever thinking about doing that because I kind of feel like my journey has been one that's been very um like silver spoon, but in part because I was so young. I think when you have somebody who's like 17, 18, 19, it's very easy to go, "You're old enough now, go handle what you need to handle." But because I was 14, and I'm not saying my mom or grandma would have kicked me out because I would have been 17, 18, or 19, because I don't think they would have. But I think other people took extra special, like, pity on me because I was so young. I got expelled from the school system because my kid was being abused by the daycare, and I refused to back down. And I had to figure out how I was going to finish high school. I had to then, I waited a few years and then I decided I was going to go to college. And, I didn't have really any support with going to college. And that's because my family wasn't, you know, college, they weren't college people, and it was a matter of trying to, figure out all these things myself. But getting to that point, though, I had so many people, though, who were still willing to prop me up because I had been so young. I
Hey,
stand by
Amy,
that.
you ever see the movie Aaron Brockovich?
Oh, yeah.
You kind of like Aaron Brockovich. Amy, I just want to say
Thank you.
that. That's a good.
I'll
That's
take
one of
that.
my favorite movies.
That is hilarious. That
I
can
will
be your
take that.
stage name, Amy. Aaron Brockovich can be your stage name.
Amy Brockovich.
Yeah.
Um,
Y'all,
I
I
was
gotta
a
get off this
paralegal for a
phone.
long time. Yes, it's past her bedtime. She goes to bed at
Wait,
7.
it was so good talking to you, Bullets. I
Oh
love
yeah, it's
talking
so
to
good
you.
talking to you too, Jay.
I
I
want to do
hope we
this
do this
again.
again.
Yeah,
Yes,
Ah,
yes,
I love
definitely.
talking to you. So, and thanks,
Thank you.
Andrew, and thanks, Amy, and thanks to all y'all. I gotta go to bed.
All right. Good night,
Okay.
Jen.
All right, bye,
Good
y'all.
night, Jen.
Bye.
Uh,
I tease her. She goes to bed at 7:30. Um,
oh,
she's like a little old man. Um, I forgot what we were talking about now. Oh, Aaron Brockovich,
Aaron
though.
Brockovich. Aaron
Look,
Brockovich.
I'm all about fierce advocacy, man. I'm all about it. I'm all about using your power and your knowledge and your voice to, get things done and do what you can do to make things better. I think that, I did make it all the way through law school from being a 14-year-old who got pregnant, which is, not the norm. But, it's still one of those things now. I feel like I have to do something with it. I have to, that's why I love teaching, because I feel like I'm getting to be a part of, I don't know, like making the world a better place through helping to raise up more advocates and things like that, if that makes any sense at all.
No, I understand. I understand. I understand. I definitely understand that. That has a lot of, to have versatility like that, to push yourself through law school, being a teenage mother, that takes a lot. A lot of people
I didn't
cannot
go
do.
until my 40s.
Oh, see, and that's also great. That's also great because you still took the time to to push yourself through college. So a lot of people don't do that, Amy. They give up.
Oh, I wanted to plenty of times. Plenty of times, but, it was a matter of going, I need to do it. I had, when I first signed up for regular college for my undergrad, I went, and I was telling family about it. And again, I didn't have a lot of support, but I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that they just didn't really know. My dad's side of the family, though, I had cousins who were college educated, but on my mom's side, I didn't grow up with any of them, so I don't really know who was or wasn't, but I think it was minimal. But I went to go tell my dad's mom, and she was sitting there, and I was 22. I had 4 kids at the time. I had 10 kids if you include my ex-husband who was like 6 kids. But I was telling her about it's true. But I was telling her about, that I had signed up for college, and she was like, "Why?" And I was like, "Well, because I want to be able to take care of my kids better." And she was like, "Working is taking care of your kids." And I was like, "I know, but I just kind of want to raise the bar." I'd actually heard something on the radio that morning on the way to work that said, it was talking about the more educated you are, the more likely your kids are to be educated at the same level or above. And so I just kept thinking about, like, I just want to do more. I want to do more because I want my kids to have the best future. And she just kept being so mean. And and I finally decided, you know what, I'm just gonna like joke around, lighten the mood, leave. And she's like, "What do you expect to get out of this?" And I said, "I just want to graduate with a 4.0." And she looked me dead in the face and she goes, "Well, your other cousins didn't. What makes you think you will?" And I was like, "Oh my God." And so I took that though, and I let that fire light up, because 2 years later, I walked across the stage with a cousin who was also graduating and who was graduating with a 4.0, the one who had 4 kids and who was now going through a divorce. And so I was just like, if I could have just given the middle finger to them as I was walking across. I was so angry about it because it just wasn't okay. I mean, you've got to support people.
No, you
That's
got
all.
to. You got to support people. You got to support people, and not, really. I always say, you don't know what people's dreams are, and when a person has a dream, don't, like, always put them down on their dreams. Support them, because you never
Exactly.
know when somebody will accomplish those dreams. Because I think that's the problem with society, that they'll not support someone's dreams and they'll just act like, oh, that's just a dream, living reality. But you don't know. You don't know how hard a person worked to accomplish something. So never shoot them down on their dreams.
And you never know what somebody's going through either.
That's so true. That is
Yep.
so true. That is so true.
What are your dreams, Gotti? Oh, where'd he go? He left us. Andrew?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I didn't know the host could
don't
take
know where he
themselves
went.
out.
Huh?
I didn't know a host could take themselves out.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either.
Well, welcome to the Bulletz Gotti 2.0. We're filling in today. Well,
Maybe it kicked him. I don't know. I don't know what happened.
maybe. I don't know. But I don't know what happens if we leave the studio. Like, I have it streaming to my pages. Does it still keep streaming like for hours and
I think
hours
if
and
we
hours?
leave the studio both, I'm pretty sure it'll stop the broadcast. I'm pretty sure.
Does it? Okay.
I
Maybe
think
we
so.
should do him a favor and do that.
Yeah. Oh, wait. I
Wait.
thought he was coming back in. Never mind. You were just changing your thing.
No, I wasn't.
Oh.
What is that?
Oh,
That's
never
me.
mind. It is him popping up. Okay. Something weird popped up, and then it was him.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. Me and Andrew, my phone had died. I had to switch my device, but I want to thank y'all for coming. This was a great live. I think we should do this again, Andrew and Amy. This was a great show.
Yeah. Thank you for having us on, and I agree. We should
Yes.
talk to an inmate sometime. If you want a serial killer, I can get a serial killer or mass murderer, spree killer, whatever you want. I can do my best to get them and see if they'll talk to us.
Yeah, sure. Amy, I definitely want to do the Wayne Williams story with you. Like, I really want to do a live, and we could bring his family member, whoever, on the show, and
It's a family
really.
member of Anthony Carter.
Oh
And
yeah.
I can tell you that Nicholas also goes to bed early, so his would have to be done earlier in the day.
Oh,
But
okay,
he
okay.
would definitely do it. Nicholas is always down to talk.
Okay, no, most definitely. We could definitely do it. I'll find like a time and we can go live and we can do it because that story, a lot of people that are not familiar with that story is a very sad story. And this is a man that should be freed and his story needs to be told, you know, right and exact. So I'm willing to do that with you, Andrew, Jen, Amy. We could team up on this and push that story out for people to see because this man needs his freedom.
I agree. I definitely agree. He is he's not getting any younger.
Yes, yes, yes,
And I'm
yes.
a firm believer too that, and you can go look this up. I don't think I told you about this the last time, but back in 2021, I found out that 8 of the victims did not have headstones, but the city of Atlanta decided to give the other ones headstones. And so
Wow.
um, we meaning I all I did was just put out the, like, post on Facebook, and I just said, "Here's this. It probably looks like a patch of grass to you guys, but a 9-year-old that was, stabbed is here." They also buried him in a cardboard box, by the way, which is even more disgusting. But,
Wow.
mhm, yeah, the disrespect is gross. But, anyhow, but I said, "I need you guys to share this because he needs a headstone. I need you to share it with everybody that you know, and, you know, I, um, I need you to, be prepared to all give me $1 otherwise, because we're getting this kid a headstone." And, I had him a headstone within a few hours, and, I helped put on the memorial that we did for him, and it was absolutely amazing. And these kids do have family left, but the parents themselves there's 4 left.
Mm,
And the thing that got me about all of that was just like seeing the lack of closure, seeing the lack of peace, I guess. Because even with Anthony Carter, where we did the
mhm.
memorial, it's not where he's actually buried because they don't know where he's actually buried because nobody kept good records, and it's a whole story in and of itself. But the bottom line, though, is that when we were talking with the media, and I was helping to kind of control all of that stuff, I told them, I said, it's very important. I know you have to mention Wayne Williams. I know you have to say the words Atlanta child murders, but I need you to talk about Tony. He was called Tony. I need you to talk about him because these kids, when these cases get looked at, they fall into a faceless, nameless collective, and they just become a victim. They're just
Mm.
victim number one, victim number two. They're just a victim. And I said, and I don't want that to happen here. And the reason, outside of it being important to the family, I also think it's important to do that because all it takes is one for the house of cards to start falling. And all it takes is looking at them and, seeing the problems that lie even just within a few. For example, Luby Jeter. Nobody talks about the fact that Luby Jeter was actually, like, mutilated and it looks ritualistic. Nobody
Wow.
talks about that. The media's never mentioned that. But I've seen the pictures. I've got the crime scene photos. Nobody talks about it.
Wow.
But that's important.
Yes,
Why
yes,
is it
yes.
important? Because it creates a whole new MO. If there is something that's ritualistic that goes with it, that's a game changer because it doesn't fit. But this other thing doesn't fit either. None of these kids all neatly fit. And that's the thing that bugs me. People don't talk about the fact that the, former Atlanta deputy chief of police was a suspect at one time.
Wow.
You know, nobody talks about those types of things. And these are all people that just had opportunity.
No, that's true. I mean, like to hide that type of evidence is messed up on so many levels because the family could have pushed more to make sure that that the case would be solved. Not to just push, like you said, Amy, to be pushed on just stuck on, okay, this guy Wayne Williams, but they didn't look at the other things like what you just said with the whole ritualistic killing where the boy head was cut off. Like, that's crazy.
No, his feet.
Oh,
They
oh
were
wow,
and they were missing.
wow, wow. That's crazy.
But I
Yeah,
do
that's
think that Anthony Carter's case is an important one to look at because I think his definitely is a good card to pull.
yeah, that's true.
I mean, just when you see the lies that existed within the Carter family and stuff like that, it's a game changer.
Yeah, that is a game changer. That's definitely a game changer. You're not
Let me
lying.
know when you want to do it. I'll get Nicholas to do it. No problem.
Um, I'll definitely let you know when. I'm gonna make sure I have some time and we can definitely do it sometime next week or maybe the week after next will be good. If anything, week after next we can do it like around Wednesday. I could just find a time like before he goes to bed, if that's all right with him.
Okay. I teach on Monday and Tuesday nights, so I'm free any other time. Well, except for Saturday mornings, I also teach.
Oh, you teach on Saturday? Okay, okay. So
I
I'm gonna
know
make sure.
they started making me do Saturday mornings so that I could offer more classes. So I teach introduction to law and criminal law and procedure on Saturday mornings. So at least it's topics I like.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. But Amy, plug your platform in for everybody that don't know about your platform. Andrew, plug your platform in so people could follow you guys, 'cause I really think that you guys got a great platform going on TikTok. I love it. I'm trying to Amy, I'm gonna be honest with you and Andrew. I'm trying to do TikTok. I'm probably gonna start working on TikTok tonight. I'm gonna try to do
You're
some
missing
videos.
out over there.
Yeah, I am. I'm gonna try to go over there because I like how the people is so cool and you can have great conversations live. So I'm definitely gonna try to go on TikTok now.
Okay. Well, that's one of those things too, is you get somebody up in the box who can be like, oh yeah, let him up, let him up. He wants to talk. You just gotta have somebody who vouches for you and they'll just bring you on up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's so true. That's so true. Let me ask you, Amy and Andrew, like, how is like from TikTok, right? I noticed that a lot of things you can't say on like YouTube and other platforms. I noticed like TikTok is like you're able to speak your mind more and you're able to like your content can reach so many people. Like, you think TikTok is like a good like avenue like for a person that's like doing like especially informative pieces like criminal pieces or political pieces? It's kind of good
I
for
think it
that.
depends. I think it depends on who you ask. I know that with the lives, you have people who will say, you need to say unalived and pew pew and, rugs and, grape and, things like that. Um, Whenever I'm hosting, I don't care. I say it because I haven't been flagged for it. But other people claim that, you can get banned for it and everything else. I don't know that that's true or if it's just urban legend. But, I think that one thing that TikTok is good for is that if you do get any kind of, strikes against you or restrictions or warnings, you can appeal it. And I don't think I've ever had anything that I haven't been able to appeal and, they haven't agreed with me. I know, Andrew, you
Okay.
had some stuff.
Yeah, I was live not that long ago, and somebody had mentioned the word suicide an inmate like 5 times, and it just kicked me off of live, and it flagged my account. But I won the appeal like within seconds. I appealed it. Then they were like, "Sorry, we've restored your content." Blah blah blah. So yeah, it's happened to me once so far, but that's it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try TikTok. I'm gonna definitely try TikTok. I'm gonna definitely do my content over there. I'm gonna
Just if you go up in other people's boxes, just kind of read the room, so to speak, and just see what they're using. But there's big like Idaho crowds. There's big like Sebastian Rogers, Karen Reed, Gypsy Rose. I mean, they all have really big, you know, communities.
Hey, I heard like Gypsy Rose community is huge on TikTok. I seen
Uh-huh.
like they really follow that case. She's
There's
I know she's making a lot of money just off of her name, like because
oh, I'm sure.
yeah she's huge, you know, just off of one, just off of that one crowd, like she's big, and imagine like others that have the same type of similar like murder case. Like imagine the money they'll make if they get released, you know.
Oh, all the people that she has fighting against each other too are
Yeah.
I mean, that's another good kind of thing to look at as well. It's insane because she keeps people like fighting.
And she got back with the guy that she was with originally, right? If I'm not mistaken, Amy.
She got I think she got engaged to him or something like that at one point when she was in prison, and and then it was broken off or something. I'm not completely positive about that, but I can tell you if you want a TikTok about her, I can set up a live with one of the main people that does content about her, and she pulls some crowds. I can tell you that she pulls like, you know, 500 and above on average for her lives.
Wow. Wow. Wow, that's a lot of people.
She does. Yeah, she does. Well, that's because people are so invested in Gypsy's case, and it's so weird too because it's like Gypsy's case is done. Like itself, it's done, and people are still fighting like she's going to court tomorrow.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's
That
weird.
that is weird. It's very interesting though. Yeah. I mean, hey, her story is money. You know, people like her story. You know, and it's an interesting, sad story at the same time because it's like her mother was greedy. She wanted to be with her boyfriend, and her mother did not want that, and it was like it was a lot of things going on in that story. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. She taught Gypsy how to lie.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I think you know, when you look at it, the mother has to. The mother is not innocent either in the case. You know, even though
Mm-mm.
Gypsy's not innocent, the mother's not innocent because she basically wanted her for her own personal reasons and gain, which she could have given Gypsy to her father. You know,
Oh
and
yeah.
the man had started a family, so she could have gave him to the father, but her selfish reasons, her guilty reasons, and whatever else reasons why she didn't want to do that, it showed in the whole scenario and just in the whole story.
I totally agree. It's a mess. The whole thing's a mess, and now she's having her own kid. Ugh. Hopefully, she doesn't.
She having a she's pregnant, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
with a
crazy.
girl.
Wow, wow, wow,
Yeah,
wow. And she's like 33, 32, right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that's always a misnomer. I mean, like people think, oh, well, she was just a teenager when she killed her mom. No, she wasn't. She's 23.
Yeah, she was 23. Yeah, she was. Wow. 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 Mm. Sad case. Sad. But
Yep.
I want to thank you, Amy, for coming. Andrew, I want to
Yes,
thank you.
thank you.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
thank you.
you.
We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. You know, I love having conversations with you guys. It's so dope, and it's just a different, type of conversations that we have, and a lot of these is important issues that need to be talked about. And like I said, Amy, whenever you ready next week, a week after next, I'm down to do it. I'm just gonna get the
Okay.
time scheduled, and we're gonna go live, Amy.
He does some coaching with his grandchildren. I'll text him tonight so that he has it for in the morning to see if he's got
Okay.
any days that are like off limits. Maybe he has like
Yeah,
practices or something already set up.
yeah, let me know, Amy, so
Oh
I could
well.
balance his schedule for him. And Andrew, you could come. Bro, you could come on too, bro. You could definitely come on. And I definitely want to do the Vice Lord, the guy that's the Vice Lord. I definitely
Right.
want to talk to him. I
Okay.
definitely his story. I would
Cool. Yeah.
definitely.
Just let me know whenever I can get serial killers, mass murderers, spree killers.
We can like how he does it. Like you doing it through the phone, right? Because I could do it through the phone. We could record it through the phone, if anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we can somehow be on StreamYard through a phone, or
Okay.
I could just put it up to the computer speaker, whatever would work best. I would just get them on the phone and do it that way.
Okay, that's
How do you do
good.
it on
That's good.
TikTok?
We could
I
do it through
just I just
TikTok.
put I use two phones for TikTok. I use one phone and then the other phone I put it
Oh,
on speaker.
you can use StreamYard as a guest on an app, but I don't know what it looks like.
Hmm.
We can test it out this upcoming week and just try it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Okay.
Oh,
All right.
that's
Well, thank you again. We appreciate it.
Yes.
I'm gonna run. I'm gonna go eat some dinner. I'm starving.
okay. Go eat you some dinner, Andrew.
All right. You guys
Okay.
take care. Okay.
All right. Take care, Andrew.
All right.
Thank
Bye.
you.
No problem, Amy. Appreciate you for coming.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. I want to thank y'all for stopping by. I'm definitely going to probably go back live. This was a great live stream. And for the people that came and support, thank you. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, please subscribe. Press the notification bell. Please hit the like button, share. And if you like the content and you want to support the content financially, please donate to the channel. $ Bulletz Gotti is the Cash App. The link is pinned there if you want to donate to support. Other than that, I want to thank you guys for coming and stopping and supporting us. I do appreciate that. I probably will go back live. I'm not sure. Later tonight. I'm not sure. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Thank you. You have a blessed night. And this was great conversations. I call this episode Innocent Until Proven Guilty. Thank you guys.